It's time for an inside look at the most powerful motorsport on the planet. WFO Radio, NHRA Nitro.
It's the most exciting sport on earth as far as I'm concerned.
Take a walk through the Nitro pits as we go one-on-one with the stars of drag racing.
Hi, I'm Courtney Forrest.
I'm Tony Schumacher.
Hey, you're with Matt Hagan.
This is Ron Capps, Matt Hagan's personal friend. You're on WFO.
Featuring the NHRA's Alan Reinhart.
Our events are truly an experience. They're not just a spectator event. They are an experience.
So get in, sit down, and hold on with host Joe Costello as he goes WFO.
Thanks, brother. Always love being on WFO, baby. Nobody brings it to you better than you, brother.
Now crank it up. It's time to go WFO. Here's your host, Joe Costello.
WFO Radio, NHRA Nitro. Ladies and gentlemen, it is the week of the 59th Lucas Oil Winter Nationals presented by ProtectTheHarvest.com. We have got a great show for you this week. On the show, we've got Ron Capps, we got Matt Sackman, Ed Fetterkyle going to be on the show. We've got a lot going on. Dave Connolly, Pro Stock Champion, Crew Chief, is going to be our guest. We are starting off the show, though, a little bit different. Alan Reinhart is right around the corner, but we are going to check in with the 8-time Mellow Yellow Top Fuel World Champion, Tony Schumacher, right at the start. We want to put to bed some rumors and talk about some stuff going on revolving around Tony. Tony, welcome to the show. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. It's great to be back on the show.
Yeah, and you know what, though, Tony? Like, I feel bad. I feel badly because going back over the course of the 10 years of WFO Radio podcast, especially at the very beginning, like you were on almost every week, winning races, dominating the category, and I always feel like, man, I want to have Tony on, but I want you to be on when you win. And so I don't know, and right, like you don't just need pub, man. You want to talk about wins. That's Tony Schumacher in my mind. And here we are, we're talking about something a little less than optimal, but something that needs to be discussed because there are so many people out there taking this story and running in the wrong direction. So why don't you just tell us what's happening?
Well, first of all, I think, the radio show and the stories in general, man, aren't just about wins. They're about life, and people's ups and downs. And that's just the way it goes. It's part of the gig. Racing is a very difficult sport. And we were incredibly fortunate to have the best sponsor known to mankind for 19 years, a great support group, great friends. And, when they announced last year that they were going to try a different way to recruit, we were a little short on time, but we had our, I think what I've always said is it is not a problem. It's a situation because we're surrounded by the best at doing their job. We were immediately out there looking for sponsors. And to be honest, we have several things in the works. The one that we were expecting to unveil, it's just not signed yet. It's not that it's over. It's not that it's dead. It just, they didn't get it done. Companies are expected to, and we expect them to do the due diligence and to go out and to seek out all the information that they need, and that's what they're in the middle of doing, and they're doing a great job. So my dad decided at the end that it wasn't fair without a signed deal to keep the guys wondering and waiting, and to start the season off with a black car, just sitting there ready, without a name on it. So he decided yesterday that we were going to park it for Pomona. And for me, I thought, well, we should just run it. And then, you think about it, you go, wait a minute, my dad's done everything to carry us for months with no money coming in on that side, and I respect what he's done. He's done a great job keeping the faith, and he needs that contract signed, to be honest. He just needs to get it done. He's working hard. He's working with the right people. It's through legal. It's really just pending. And the company itself isn't worried about Pomona. They're worried about getting it right. It's a 5-year deal. It's a large deal, and they're just making sure the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed. So I have all the faith in the world that we'll put it all together and get it done and be back out racing soon.
See, so great to hear that. Everyone's initial response, as much as you want to try to fight it, is usually emotional, right? Like disappointment. Oh, no, Tony, that kind of deal. And I've seen your fans, and you've got a legion of them. The most worried that they've been, like, are you retiring? That kind of thing. That's got to be it's got to be a bummer to have to answer the question, but also to see the response that has happened instantly, like a flare-up of fans freak out about this thing.
Yeah, on both sides. You get the guys that go, who cares? The majority has been so positive and uplifting, and we appreciate it. And to be honest, we're in Vegas right now. We came down, saw the George Strait, staying at the Cosmo with our friend KJ.
What's up, KJ?
Yeah, KJ, she's awesome, man. She takes great care of us, her and Kelly. And we saw the Super Bowl there. It was just it was one of the things. I'm waiting on this contract, and we were in real good spirits. And then I thought, okay, maybe I just don't go to Pomona now. Maybe it's time I don't go and let it be known that we got this issue. And if there is a company or a sponsor out there looking, but then I thought, you know what, the fans, they're going to see us whether I have a car or not. And it's my obligation and my duty and to pay back the fans that have been just so great for so long. So I'll be there all 3 days. I'll be probably hanging out with Antron and Leah in their pits and pulling for my teammates in our funny cars and hoping those guys pull off some great wins. And, it is what it is. It's not the greatest position to be in, but, hey, I got an awesome family. I got an amazing girlfriend. I got an amazing kids. They're healthy. They're safe. My dad's gone through so much with his cancer over the last couple of years. There's way bigger issues out there. And I'm always keep things in line. Man, my family's safe. My family's healthy. My sons are incredibly good in high school. One's going off trying to get into Texas A&M. My daughter's a straight A student. I mean, what more can you ask for? I mean, this is a situation. We're going to deal with it one step at a time, and we're going to put it together. But I'm sure not going to miss the races. I'm going to go out there and I'm going to watch. I'm going to support my guys and girls. And hey, man, see the fans.
I love your perspective. And, I think back Don the Snake sat out a year. I think the wisdom of your dad, he has been very successful for a reason. And he knows, to go run the car and just run the car. That, to me, it sends a signal. Like, oh, man, these guys are willing to run the car without sponsorship. So maybe we shouldn't sponsor. Maybe we shouldn't pay as much. I don't know. Maybe I don't know what the heck I'm talking about, but I know Don Schumacher does.
I think you were correct. And, we've talked about all those options. If you show up and just put the car on the track, it is no longer a situation that needs to get dealt with. It's, oh, man, they'll just carry the weight. My dad's a businessman. He suffered through this decision. He was incredibly heartbroken to have to tell the guys we're sitting out. Those guys worked so hard to make the car right. And I got to tell you, I got the most loyal guys in the world. I mean, they knew the Army was gone. They stayed on board. They worked all winter long, had the perfect car sitting there. I've talked to each one of them, and we're heartbroken that this is happening, but we understand this is a big, big deal. It has to be right. It has to be handled with by lawyers, and we're not asking for $50,000. We want to run a car. We want to run a car correctly, safely, and for a championship every time we go down the racetrack, which includes testing and hospitality. And our business to business is what makes it work. I mean, any sponsor that steps into our ring right there is now sitting at the table with the head of Napa and the head of Matco Tools and the head of Mopar and Pennzoil and Shell Oil and all those companies, and they know that. So they're looking at each one of those things. And, I wish I could say who the deal is, but I can't. I just got to sit back and let them do their job and hope they get it done quickly.
But you sound optimistic, and because you are optimistic, I am optimistic and excited. I have no doubt you're going to, make the countdown. You can miss several races and still make the countdown. And more importantly, it'll be for the good of the sport. I really appreciate you coming on WFO Radio here right at the start of our podcast to just, I don't know, calm the fans, like make people understand this is, it's not an overarching sign of impending doom for the sport in general. This is corporate America working.
It is, and the companies, some of them have never been here before, so there is an incredible amount of interest. And I've been reading all that stuff too, and I go, oh yeah, big money's killed the sport. Well, big money's what's necessary to run the cars right now, and it just is, and we didn't build it that way. And people are like, oh, DSR and John Force, you guys, it's too expensive. Look, man, Terry McMillan, he went out and won Indy last year. The cars are racing closer and better than they ever have been. Big Money didn't win Indy. Terry McMillan did, and it was a great job, and it was fun. I stood in the start line with Summer, and we watched that happen. We watched that car go down the racetrack without the big budget and win the biggest race of the year. So fans, chill out. It's all good. We love you. We love that you come out. We love that you support us. We've had many sellout crowds. I was reading and they're like, oh, the fan count's down. I don't see that. I sit in that car and I look up. I've seen some incredible crowds. I've sat through many, many sellout shows. So it all has to work. But that being said, things are changing. We got Fox on board. People stare at their phones. We got to adapt to some of that stuff. It's all in the works. It has to be done. People tend to watch more sporting events staring at their phone than they do staring at the event, which is right in front of them. It's kind of a changing world, and the sport itself and the teams are adapting to it with the social media and all those things. And well, we're just catching up. I used to hate social media, hated Facebook, hated all that stuff. I didn't believe that. When I got done racing, because I give every bit of energy I have at the races. I stand out at the ropes all day. And when I'm off, man, sometimes I just like to go fishing. And I don't want to tell everyone I'm going fishing. But it has come to my attention from all the sponsors that we're talking to that it is an important thing. Fans want to see you out there. And so we're adapting. We're hiring the right people to make the social media part good so the fans get to see what we're doing all the time. And, it's funny, but I thought, man, I get my time off. But when you sign up for a job like this, you don't. You are turning it over and saying, look, I'm going to earn a living in a sport, and I'm going to earn a living, and because that I have to be willing to sacrifice some of my freedoms. And I get it. So we're moving forward with it, and it's going to be great. It's going to be a great sport this year. Hoping to be back in Phoenix running the car.
I think it's great, Tony. I appreciate you coming on the show. I got to say, though, man, I wanted to, I want to see you without the beard. No beard. The beard
I'm going to be there. I'm coming.
You look 10 years younger without the beard.
Yeah, I know. That's my dad said, too. That's why I told you, he said, come on, we got to go out and get sponsors. He said, nobody wants an old man driving. I said, I'm like almost the youngest.
You do. You look like, I'm serious. It's amazing. I think, hopefully, this is what I want. You ready?
I look like a baby.
The trend, listen, I've been trying to say this for years, and maybe now you're like the first block to start moving, the first domino to fall, the end of the beard era. It's got to be over at some point, right? We did it once in the early 1900s. Everybody had beards, and they realized, wait, well, let's get away from it. This is it. You're the first domino, Tony. No more beards. The beards are over.
I do not want to lead that trend. I love my beard, man. I really did. It made me feel good. I know it made me look older, but I felt tough, and it was what made me happy. And again, sometimes you just got to adapt to what the other people want. And if we're out looking for sponsors and they want clean cut, well, so be it. We'll see. Maybe the sponsor signs up and goes, "You got to grow that thing back. You look tough." Let's just hope.
There you go. Tony, thank you so much for coming on WFO Radio. Next time, it will be after a victory. But from what I just gathered, you're okay to come down anytime, and you always have been, and I appreciate that. Big supporter of WFO. We're in our 10th season, and I'm looking at the archive the other day thinking, man, like you coming on the show in our early days when we had few listeners, you helped us survive, man. You helped us get through, and I appreciate that. And just apart from everything, I want you to know that. It's like, thank you.
Well, I appreciate that. Anytime.
All right. Thanks, Tony. We'll see you out there this weekend at Pomona. You have a lot of time to hang out, but then we'll get back to it as soon as possible. Thank you so much.
Sounds great. See you there.
Tony Schumacher with us here on WFO Radio, the 8-time champ, 83 wins, and, class act. And I'm going to just listen to him and accept it. And I recommend that everybody out there do the same thing. Problem with drag racing is that the rumor mill, problem with everything, is that the rumor mill just goes out of control. And watching the Facebook page, honestly, I wasn't thinking of calling Tony on the show because I was going to just let them sort all of that stuff out. But then when I saw the rumor mill just going out of control, he's retiring, this is the thing, what does it mean? It means this, it means that. No, chill. Everybody needs to calm down and just watch and let things play out. And who knows, they could be back on track soon. And then all of that panic that everybody has was for nothing. So just chill. And thanks to Tony for coming on the show at the very, very start of the show, which has great sponsors like Rodak's Coffee and Grills.com. Marvin Rodak, our great friend, who has the Schumacher Champion blend of coffee designed specifically for Tony Schumacher that you can get. How about that? Marvin Rodak, hot sauce, spice rub, has a great deal for ribs. Ribs, I should have asked Tony about Marvin. A couple of years ago, after Tony won the U.S. Nationals, his 10th, he gave credit to Rodax Coffee, which I thought was pretty cool. The School of Automotive Machinists and Technology, samtech.edu. Start your education at full speed. Everybody's ready for that Samtech Factory Stock Showdown. Last week, Aaron Stanfield talking about tuning Stephen Bell's car to a 774. Everybody is getting up for Samtech Factory Stock Showdown. But really, it's about the school and about learning to go out and work with your hands and learning a skill and a trade that can't be shipped away. CNC machining, all that stuff, samtech.edu, high-performance engine builder, machinist, all vital to the sport of drag racing. Frank Hawley's Drag Racing School, the Dragster Adventure at frankhawley.com. Frank and Lana Hawley, just such great people. They wished me happy birthday a couple of weeks ago, last week, whenever it was. It was on a Wednesday. I guess it was last week. Yeah, I'm 46 now, right? I mean, 36, which I'm really going to tell people that. That's my new thing. Yeah, no, I know it's a lie, but it's okay. Just don't tell anybody. It'll be our thing, right? Frank and Lana, just so nice. The Dragster Adventure that they have put together, for me, we need fans to, get into it, like get into this sport. How do you get into it other than watching? Well, by participating in something like the Dragster Adventure. Go to frankhawley.com. Magic Dry and catspotlitter.com. Scott Palmer, I'm so excited for Scott in 2019. One of the teams that I really think is going to elevate this year. And that's my prediction. That's one of my bold predictions, like winning a race, definitely. And I think 2 before the countdown. How about that? All right, there's my prediction. Catspotlitter.com. If you've got a cat, get Catspot. This is a great way to support drag racing. You just heard Tony Schumacher talking about the companies that aren't already in the sport. Well, Catspot is one of those companies. And what does it mean? Do you really need the fans to support the sponsors of the sport? Yes. Yes, that's the whole model. Motorsportsguys.com. Tony, he's like, name checking a subject that has to do with something here on the show. Terry McMillan goes out and wins the U.S. Nationals. Let me tell you about Terry McMillan. I say it all the time. What is the saying? What is the catchphrase that Terry McMillan taught me that I also live by now? Persistence beats resistance. And motorsportsguys.com is the epitome of that. Used to sell just Amalie motor oil for your, if you didn't need like large sums of it. If you need an oil change worth of Amalie motor oil, you can go to motorsportsguys.com. But not only that, you can get the filter and all kinds of other parts and pieces. This is a website. You need to bookmark it, motorsportsguys.com. You need to go. You need to check it out. And they make it worth your while. They got that Vegas Win Tribute hat, all kinds of good stuff. Hangstafers, metalworking lubricants, hangstafers.com. Another great company, Hangstafers Laboratories, helping in the machine shops at DSR and John Force Racing. But Matt Sackman is going to be racing this weekend in the alcohol ranks in one of Randy Meyer's cars. And his brother Zach is going to be racing in Top Dragster. And who is their sponsor? Hangstafers. So it's not just that they're a giant company that can help you with your machine shop or your factory, like big stuff, but they're helping the grassroots racer climb the ladder and pursue the dreams. What is better than that? Hangstafers.com. And, of course, audible.com/WFO Nitro. Start your 30-day free trial. Other people that help us out greatly, Drag Racing Edge Magazine, Johnny D and Brett and the team over there at Drag Racing Edge, running ads for WFO Radio. Maybe you saw that there's a podcast about drag racing. There's a whole bunch of podcasts about drag racing now. And Extreme Velocity 3 Drag Racing. Drag racing for your mobile device. And Chris Bloom over there at Extreme Velocity 3. They program this game. It's for your mobile device. It's drag racing, and you can play the game. And there's a WFO season in there, and there's a whole story about it, which I'll be talking about on the Ignition show. But really stepped up to help out with the fulfillment of the prizes that WFO radio listeners can win on Extreme Velocity 3 Drag Racing. So great stuff. We've got all our great sponsors, and I really appreciate all of them. And now we've heard from the 8-time champ. Let's get into it with the voice of the NHRA, who starts us off each week here on WFO Radio, except for this one time. This one time we had Tony Schumacher because of the big news that everybody's buzzing about. Alan, welcome back. It is race week in America. How excited are you?
I'm actually pouting because I didn't get to be first.
Yeah. It's Tony Schumacher, though, man, and he's big in the news right now, as you know.
So what? He's won all those races. He's won 8 championships. I still got to be first. I'm pouting.
And you'll get to be first next week. Do not worry. Unless something crazy happens, I would imagine. But, it's interesting to see the way it's all playing out in that We knew the Army left, and there's been rumblings about a deal, and it just isn't coming together. Tony just told us that he fully expects things to come together. It's about dotting the I's and crossing the T's, and that's where we left it off. He said he wasn't going to go, but now he's going to go. He's going to be out there, and he has shaved his beard.
Yeah, I understand. Everything that I had heard during the off season was positive, that they were working on leads, that they were talking to people, that they had good feelings about it. And, I fully expected to see that car in new livery out at Pomona. But I also, Don Schumacher is a businessman. And I certainly understand him, basically sticking to his guns, that he is not going to put the car out there until he's ready to make a big splash for a new sponsor. And I think that, in the grand scheme of things, as much as I'm going to hate not having Tony Schumacher at the Winter Nationals for the first time since, 97, 98, if they run the car, okay, let's say they run the Winter Nationals and they run Phoenix, and then the whole thing comes together, and okay, Gainesville, hey, everybody, look, here it is, the brand new WFO Radio Top Fuel team. Excuse me. I think you're taking away a little bit of that splash because, the car's been out there. We've just been waiting to see whose name's going to be on the side of it, and okay, now it's got a name on the side of it. But I think that by sitting out, whatever it is, and hopefully it's not long, hypothetically, let's say they don't run the Winter Nationals, they don't run Phoenix, but now in Gainesville, he's back. Ladies and gentlemen, here it is, the WFO team making its debut. I think you're going to have a whole lot more bang, a whole lot bigger splash doing it that way. And as much as I said, I hate, the fact that Tony's not going to be at Pomona. I do believe that when he comes back, it'll be the right move because that will make a huge splash for whoever the new sponsor is, the new partner that's coming on board with him. So, I certainly understand Don's strategy. He's made a lot of money. He's been a very successful businessman, and you don't get in that position by making bad decisions. I'm sure there are people that won't agree with this one, but it's hard to argue with the man's success and the record that he's had in the business.
No, I agree. And my observation is that everyone's reaction generally to everything is first emotional, right? You're like, disappointment and all of that. But then when you dig into it, and certainly I trust Don's business experience, if you go run the car without the sponsor, doesn't that send a signal to the sponsor that you don't really need them as badly as not running the car would? Just seems to me that it's the right decision. And I remember being a kid, and Snake sat out a season. He did not have a sponsor. He sat out a season, and I didn't understand it, but it's a lesson I always remembered because he came back with a sponsor, secured the Skoll deal, and then went on to many great things. Sometimes you got to deal with the emotional side of it and do what's right business-wise. And if that's what Don is doing and what Tony is doing, it will be great to have him out there. I'm happy he's coming, but I just hope the fans will, as he said it, chill. Like, hey, don't freak out right now over this because, as you know, Alan, the internet goes crazy over everything.
Yeah, that's an absolute fact. And I just look forward to when they get the thing put together. One of the other things that I saw on the internet was, Don's put his company on the side of the cars before. Why wouldn't he do that now? And, I really believe, as I said, that, he doesn't want to steal the thunder, doesn't want to take anything away from whoever the new partner is, because when that car comes back out, when that team comes back out, it will be a huge splash. And I just think that you would be detracting from that if you ran the car in the meantime, no matter what name was on the side of it.
There you go. Absolutely. So that being the, we'll call it a slightly negative story out of the way, the 59th Lucas Oil Winter Nationals presented by ProtectTheHarvest.com are this weekend, just days away, and I am super excited. We got Ron Capps, Dave Connolly, Matt Sackman, Ed Fetterkyle's going to be out there in Comp Eliminator. We're trying to touch on many different categories. This is it. The 2019 campaign begins pretty much now.
Yeah, let's do a little flip there. As much as we're all going to hate the fact that Tony Schumacher's not going to be there, did you see that Austin Prock is now on the entry list for Top Fuel?
Yes, I did. Very exciting.
They were not planning originally, I don't believe, to bring that car out to Phoenix test. I think they were going to test and get Austin's license crossed over after Gainesville. But John's got some folks that he's talking to, some things that literally was a last-minute decision. They had the rigs hauled out there, didn't even get to Wild Horse Pass until late Saturday afternoon. ran the car Sunday, ran the car yesterday, got Austin's license, crossed over. He had a funny car license, didn't have a top fuel license, and he is on the entry list for Pomona. So looking forward to seeing that. The John Force team this year is going to at least start out being 2 dragsters and 2 funny cars. And I had an opportunity to chat with John pretty extensively in Phoenix at the test. And he said they're talking to a couple of different companies. And there literally are a couple of companies that would very much like to see a funny car, a couple of companies that would very much like to see a dragster. Don't have anything in place as of yet, but we're able to bring the dragster out. And he said he wanted to get Austin licensed, get him ready to go, just so they would be ready to hit the ground running when it happens. So I'm glad we're going to see Austin out there competing at Pomona.
So exciting to see all these young drivers. Jordan Vandegrift, who was on our show a couple of weeks ago, getting his license and won't be there at this race, but in Arizona. But young faces, like we're seeing this sea change in the sport, good kids that are, nice people, but tough competitors. I know Austin has got a sprint car midget background and is a very talented driver. And this tells me so, that he's made his license runs at Frank Hawley's. And I don't want to say everything he's done has been in a funny car, but he's got funny car experience. We know how different they are. Jumps in a top fuel car, boom's got the license, and will be competing in his first event. I am very excited and very happy to see the start of this young racer's career.
I am as well, and he has driven an A fuel car. So, even though he hadn't driven a top fuel car, he has had some laps in the injected nitro car, the A fuel car. So everything I've heard, and I was not there. I came home Saturday evening, so I was not there to see any of his runs, but I have spies at Wild Horse that said that looked like a natural, got in the car, made some just nice, clean, simple hits, and was able to upgrade or cross-grade, I guess I should say, his license with minimum runs. So looking forward to seeing him at Pomona.
Yeah,
we're off and running.
You don't have spies. I'm sure you have like all kinds of electronic surveillance all over that place. That's your home track. You probably got drones flying through the air.
Joe, have you seen me deal with computer problems?
Yeah, you know what? It might all be a ruse. That could be just a fake thing.
You think I have a network of cameras and electronic spy apparatus that I stay on top of and keep running?
The way you're reacting makes me think it's even more true.
Let me tell you how stupid I am. I bought a bunch of new DVDs so I could watch them on the plane for my long trip over to
That's hysterical. Alan, that's so funny. You bought a bunch of new DVDs. Who does that? That's hysterical. Oh, that wasn't it you were talking about?
And my computer wouldn't play them.
Oh, my God.
So I went out and bought an external DVD player because that's $40 versus, new computer or whatever. And that didn't work either. Then I found out that apparently the DVDs I bought were the incorrect format. So like everything I got is junk and doesn't work. And yeah, I've got a secure network of spy cameras. You betcha.
Yeah,
I can't even buy a freaking DVD that plays in my computer.
No, I get it. And I was just joking about digital download. You could maybe do that, but yeah, the tech side of the world, I agree. It's a little bit off-putting. Billy Torrance going to race. A lot of guys going to race. We got 15 cars on the entry list right now. With Tony, it would have been 16. A little disappointing to have 15 cars. You were at the test. You closed it up. I hear Pro Stockers. We got Dave Connolly going to be on the show. I heard there was like 14 Pro Stockers testing here this week. That category seems actually very healthy. Funny car more than more than 16, of course. But give me a Reinhardt rundown of the test session. What did you see? What did you learn? What stood out in your mind other than what we've already discussed?
Well, Steve Torrance looked pretty close to invincible. They came out. They ran on Wednesday. They ran on Thursday, and they went home Thursday afternoon. The car was solid. Obviously, they didn't have to make a whole lot of changes from last year, the way they finished out the season, but both he and Billy were there making runs, and basically I think they made 5 or 6 runs and said, you know what, we're here, we're good, we're ready to go. And they went back to Texas to go back to work for a few days, so they definitely look good. Alan Johnson, Brian Houston getting comfortable, hands-on over there with Mike Salinas' operation. Even though Alan had been helping him as a consultant, getting over there and being in the trailer and being hands-on, he certainly is going to be a player sooner, not later, but very, very soon. Sean Langdon looked good. J.R. Todd looked good. Actually, the entire Coletta team looked good. We've actually come up with a prop bet, Joe. Do you like prop bets?
Yeah, some, depending on what they are, like the national anthem going over under 107. I would have taken the over, and I would have nailed it. What's the prop bet? I'm ready.
Who wins first, Mike Salinas or Sean Langdon?
Wow, that's good. Good one. I'm taking Langdon.
I think it's good as well. I mean, Mike had a good car last year. Had definitely had a couple strong showings, but now having Alan Johnson hands-on full-time, I think is going to be a big plus. And I think after just a couple of test runs, the effect of Del Worsham being hands-on now with Sean Langdon's car is starting to show. Had an opportunity to talk with Del pretty extensively on the trip over to Qatar, and he had been in the Coletta shop and said that he was a bit surprised that the cars were as different as they were. And I'm talking about J.R. Todd's car versus Sean Langdon's car. Sean's a little heavier than JR, so they spent some time, trying to lighten the car and trying to get it down to where they wanted to be. But Sean Langdon sure looked good, and I was mildly surprised he didn't win last year. I will be stunned if he doesn't win this year. And I don't believe Alan Johnson's ever been hands-on on a top fuel car that didn't win going a season. So I'm sure Mike Salinas is going to end up there as well. It's just a matter of who does it first, and I think that's going to be just one of the things to watch. Cruz Pedregon got there late, made a couple of laps. I think if I was giving him a report card, it would be incomplete. Working, changing, obviously, the new Dodge body and, operating as a crew chief for himself. I think that's still a work in progress. Tim Wilkerson was there, had Chad Green in the car for a couple of days, and then he got in at the last day, and I think that, he looks like he's ready to go as well. I think everybody's just basically chomping at the bit. We need to get the Pomona. We need to get the first burnouts, the first qualifying session under our belt, and everybody's going to fall right back into a rhythm.
Absolutely. We're going to have Caps on the show here in a little bit. First time he hasn't tested in the winter test or whatever we want to call it, the pro winter warm-up. Going to be interesting to see. But, hey, you don't get off the hook without picking the prop bet. I took Langdon. I have a world of respect for Sean. Sean is a world champion, but he is also like savant, big money bracket racer, super comp world champ at many levels. And so that's why I'm going with that. Plus, Nicky and Dell. And no disrespect to Mike Salinas or Alan Johnson in any way. It's just that's how strongly I feel about Sean Langdon's talent and ability. I think he could win this weekend, frankly. That's why I'm going with it. What about you?
Well, I think if we were starting the season anywhere other than Pomona, I might agree with you. Alan Johnson and Pomona just seem to be magic together. From Dwayne Johnson's first top fuel win being there, albeit at the World Finals, to when, he came out there with Gary Selzy and won in their first race together, all of the tremendous success that he's had at that racetrack. I think Alan Johnson and Mike Salinas, just so you and I'll have something to argue about, I'm going to go with Mike Salinas in my prop bet. But I really do feel that both of those cars will be in the winner's circle, and I mean soon, like within the first half a dozen or definitely the first half of the season. But I think within the first half a dozen races, both those drivers will visit the winner's circle.
No, and that's the fun of this time of the season. Like there's a lot of people, and you would think that they're going to get up there and they're going to get in there and they're going to mix it up. And are they going to do it? Are they going to be able to, deliver on the promise of the potential that we see at this point? And that's why it's so exciting. We got the countdown at the back half, at the front half of the season. We've got this, which I think is great. Now, Pro Stock, mentioned Pro Stock. We got a Ford going to be out there. Jeff Isbell going to run the whole season, from what I understand. 2019 Mustang, all over the internet, all over the Facebook, K&N sponsorship, bright orange. And thank goodness we got a Mustang out there. I never thought I would say that because I'm not a Ford guy, but we need it. We have to have it, and now we've got one.
Yeah, I agree. And, I think there's a lot of question marks there. Dave Conley going over to KB Racing, I think is a huge addition for them because, obviously, they had good power at Gray Motorsports. There's no question about that. But, between Dave Conley making sure that the car did what it was supposed to do and that kid driving it being, 00 or 15 or better on the tree every time he went down the racetrack was a killer combination. One thing that I'm very curious to see, because I do believe that the elite team and that the Gray team knew something about making the car react that the KB guys didn't. I honestly believe that. And I think that's why Greg and Jason lagged behind a little bit as far as reaction time average. Not that, they're old, they can't do it anymore, any of that kind of stuff. But I think there was something that they were missing on the cars And if that's the case, that's going to show up in a hurry because Dave Conley's going to straighten that right away. You know the old story, you can't beat them, join them. And he is a huge addition over there, especially since the KB guys, I think last year you also saw a little bit where they were spreading themselves a little thin, you know, bringing on Fernando and helping out with Derek and, you know, having Bo and with Greg and Jason still being, you know, such full-time hands-on guys with everything. I think a guy like Dave Conley that literally can attack every aspect of the car is going to be a huge add for that team.
Yeah, I totally agree. Dave's going to be on the show. We're going to speak with him about it. And it's, you know, a word that gets thrown around in conference calls and boardrooms to discuss, I guess, like manpower and energy is like bandwidth, right? Bandwidth. Like you can't stream something if you don't have the right bandwidth. And it did look like last year the expansion of KB Racing did take some time and focus away from everybody. It's just natural, right? The idea that they're able to bring in a world champion crew chief, who's also a U.S. Nationals winning driver, like a guy who is as good in every aspect of the sport, Dave Connolly, that's going to make them very tough to deal with over there. KB Racing, like immediately. Not that they needed to get better, but boy, they're going to be better.
Well, they're certainly going to be strong, and, you know, they're going to need to be because the elite team, you know, they went to Phoenix and hit the ground running, obviously, with Erica and Jeg being the two in-house cars, but they're also providing power for a few others out there as well. You know, Roger Brogdon was in Phoenix. I had a chance to chit-chat with him a little bit. He's pretty excited about getting back behind the wheel and getting after it again. So Pro Stock, I think, is going to be a whole lot more interesting this year than it was last year. Even though we're going to have a few less races for them, you're not going to be able to coast your way into the countdown to the championship in Pro Stock this year. You're going to have to earn it.
Yeah, I agree. And the shorter season, I think, brings an intensity, right? Right out of the gate, you don't have as many races to make the countdown. You can't go into a big slump early on and fall behind. As much as there's going to be, let's call it, 14, 15 touring cars, you got to get out of the hole pretty quick if you're going to secure a top half of the countdown spot. I know it's a long way away, but really for Pro Stock, it's a lot shorter than it used to be.
You're exactly right. And, with some of the old faces coming back, and it's just going to be fun to watch. I think it's going to be great.
All right, next up, something that affects us in that we're going to be talking to an audience out there. You know, I have been such a huge fan of NHRA All Access over the years and, been on the Facebook battles with people. Some people have had tech issues and internet stuff. We were just talking about technology. Who knows what's happening between us on our internet connection and what may or may not be causing us the issue. But NHRA announcing what I deem to be a huge move with the new online video and streaming service known as NHRA TV or NHRA.TV, formerly known as NHRA All Access, a partnership with Sony Venue, which is a cloud-based video streaming platform using Sony's intelligent media service. To me, the partnership with Sony says so much. And NHRA All Access was a great initial effort and platform. I certainly loved it. My dad watched it every weekend and lost thousands of hours of productivity at home. Now we're stepping in a new direction, I think evolving. This is going to be available in app form on Android and Apple, iOS. Roku TV is how I watch. To me, this is, I don't know, it says it's an investment from the NHRA for all the people who have tried to watch on the stream and have enjoyed it.
The only word in that whole description of yours that I understood was Sony.
Sony. There you go. Hey, Alan, Sony partnership, NHRA. What do you think about that?
I don't know how the cloud works. I don't know what a Roku is. The only app I have on my phone, the only two apps I have on my phone are American Airlines and WFO Radio. I don't know nothing about that stuff. Everybody I've talked to thinks it's going to be good. And I think, as I understand the little bit that I know, I think this is going to change the on-demand platform considerably for people that, don't necessarily watch it live but want to come in and catch up or pick up or do that. So, I'm in wait-and-see mode just because, A, I'm a tech moron, and I'm very proud of that, and B, because basically everybody in All Accessville or now NHRA TVville has my email address. So I just want it to work.
So wait, you're not technical support? What are you saying? How about the birthday shout-outs? You want to do a birthday shout-out, Alan?
Yeah, sure. Let's get on that. Yeah, but, like I said, I just bought a whole new flock of DVDs that I can't even play. So that's how technical I am. I'm so stupid. I can't even buy something to work in my own computer.
All right, let me put you on the spot, just like window into Reinhardt's world as we're getting ready. What is one of the DVDs that you purchased? Like a movie that Reinhardt goes on and says, man, I want to see that. I'm going to buy it.
2 seasons of The Big Bang Theory.
Okay. It's a funny show. It's very popular. I've only seen sporadic episodes here and there, but I get it, and I understand why it's popular.
Well, and I have like the first 6 seasons. And so when I was going on this long trip, I thought, well, you know what? I'll buy a couple of seasons because I literally spent more than 24 hours on the airplane, counting going over and coming back. Actually, I think I spent more than 30. So I thought, this would be a good way to kill some time and I'll just be able to, plug the computer in and watch this stuff. And apparently the new discs I bought are a different format, a different something, because the old ones work just fine, but the new ones don't work at all. But they do work in my Blu-ray player at home, so I don't know. I'm just an idiot. But anyway, I don't know. Apparently I'm going to watch Big Bang at home, and I'll worry about something else on airplanes from here on out.
There you go. Now, other news that is happening right now, it's not exactly for the Winter Nationals, but Matt Smith has secured primary sponsorship from Denso. That's just been released on NHRA.com. That is so good. Matt, as champ, we're going to see him this weekend, and nice to know he'll be going into this season with funding.
Yeah, and he had a pretty darn fast motorcycle at the end of last year, so I guarantee you that there have been a whole lot of other teams that have been kind of burning the old midnight dyno gas, if you will. Since you brought up Pro Stock motorcycles, not to blow my own horn, but anybody that is a fan of Pro Stock motorcycles needs to go to NHRA's Facebook page. Did a Facebook Live from Wild Horse Pass where I spoke with Angel and Eddie and Andrew Hines about the new partnership with Angel coming on board with Vance and Hines. And not that it was me doing it, but I think it was very candid. They kind of bantered back and forth a little bit and talked a little bit about, what expectations were coming in and who would have ever thought this was going to happen and how the partnership is going to work. And I think that, obviously a very formidable team, the Vance and Hines team, just got even more formidable by hiring one of the best that's ever got on a motorcycle and letting the clutch out. But it is, kind of funny, kind of entertaining. And as I said, it's kind of a candid discussion where the three of them all sharing their thoughts about, how it came together. This was their first test session together, the first time that they spent together. And it really seems like the chemistry has come along in a hurry. So I look forward to that team being really strong, really quick.
No, well, I'm glad you mentioned that. NHRA and the social media team over there has really worked hard, and I've been a part of it as well, as has Brian and Nate and others, to build that. And the people who follow on Facebook, I think Facebook has just surpassed 1 billion people connected to it. It's a really great way to see exactly what you're talking about. And I don't want to say they're more honest, but the fact that there's no time limit for the piece just fundamentally changes it. I did not see that piece, but I did see Steve Torrance slug you in the belly, and then you hit him back, which I thought that was pretty cool, doing his bit. And that was awesome. It was a great thing to be able to connect with what was going on out there at Wild Horse Pass. So I'm definitely going to go to the Facebook page and watch it, because you're right. Angel and Eddie. Andrew is, I don't want to say Andrew's like the classy guy in the bunch, because that's not true. They're all great people, but Andrew's in a different area to me. Angel and Eddie were like, fighting each other for years, just yelling at each other back and forth like barbs, fun barbs. And now they are working together. That's just got to be weird.
And again, I think it was very interesting to me. And when they were down on the starting line, what was it, Thursday morning, Friday morning, before they had even taken a motorcycle out of the trailer, I walked down and just kind of was a fly on the wall and, said Happy New Year to everybody and chit-chatted and listened to the information, flow going back and forth. The Screaming Eagle Harleys are a different machine than anything else out there, and lots of just little nuances about them. Like the shifter doesn't work the same. And explaining to Angel that this is what you're going to need to do. This is what you need to pay attention to. This is what we're going to walk you through. And, her obviously absorbing this and saying, hey, in the past, this is what I've done. This is my thing. and no, this is what you're going to have to do now. But it was a very candid discussion, and it really seems like the communication lines very solid, very strong, and it just didn't seem to take them long at all to build some camaraderie and to have. I think that relationship between Eddie, Andrew, and Angel is going to gel, or already has gelled a whole lot quicker than maybe some people thought. I think people think, okay, she's going to go into that environment, and man, it's just going to be, like the fur's going to fly. But they really look like they're all on the same team and all on the same page over there quite quickly. So that's going to be interesting to watch. There's
a thin line between love and hate, and nobody hates each other, but it just felt appropriate. All right, let me ask you a couple of things about, like John Force last year. Blew up everything in the test. Continued for the first couple of races of the year, having a lot of struggles, things exploding. This year, 2019, I don't want to say everything's different, but John said himself, didn't blow anything up. Like, good test. Wow, good test to start the season, maybe one of the first that they've had. What do you think the prospect is for John starting off here 2019?
Well, considering the fact that, basically Courtney's team from last year is John's team now. Danny Hood is over there. Brian Karate is over there. Look at the year that Courtney had last year. All the number one qualifiers and solid season, even though that she didn't have the countdown to the championship, but I'm sure she should have wanted or would have wanted. But I expect John to be a whole lot stronger this year than he was last year when he only won one race. And I don't think I'm exactly, talking behind his back to tell you that, he was really a non-factor for a pretty big chunk of the season. I believe that, he's going to be much stronger, much more powerful. Jimmy and Robert and Chris Cunningham and that team looked great, as they always do. Ran, very quick, very strong, learned a lot of stuff, did a lot of good testing. J.R. Todd and we've already talked about he and Sean Langman had a great test as well. But I think John is going to be a whole lot tougher out this year than he was last year, if that makes sense.
Yes, it does. And Clay Millican, just drivers that I want to name check because either big names or big changes. Clay last year went out to the Winter Nationals, set the national record. David Grubnick, whole team has departed to go over to John Force Racing with Brittany. Clay's got Mike Klober. They had a great relationship, won 6 championships over there on the IHRA side of the universe in the early part of this century. Now back together, of course, there's going to be some growing pains and reacclimation. Doesn't look like they had the best test, but who knows what the numbers from the outside are telling us based on what they had planned to do going in. So what were your observations?
I believe if I was giving them a grade, I'd put them on basically the same as Cruz Pedregon. I'd give them an incomplete. What they were trying to do, what they were learning with Mike Klober coming in and taking over the operation, they really looked like they were intending to start off with some baby steps. So I think I don't expect that car to go set the record again out in Pomona. I expect them to take a couple of races before they really hit their stride. But anybody who knows Mike Klober knows how smart he is. Clay obviously has been out here a long time. Doug Stringer is going to give those guys, I believe, time to get it all squared away. So I don't think they're going to start the season as strong as they did last season, but I do think that once they get a couple 3 races under their belt, that they're going to be back in the kind of performance mode that you're used to seeing Clay Millican in.
Very exciting, very exciting. We could do this all day, but the fact of the matter is racing is just days away. Hardcore Thursday, and then on with the Lucas Oil Winter Nationals presented by Protect the Harvest. Come on, Pomona. You have been asking for it, and now you have got it.
I'm ready, Joe. I'm ready. I put on Twitter this morning the greatest email that I've gotten so far this year was the one that I got this morning that said, it's time to check in for your flight to Pomona. So by this time tomorrow, I will be boots on the ground out there in California, and we'll be only one sleep away from doing the first burnouts in the sportsman classes.
How cool is that? Alan, great job as usual. Looking forward to seeing you out there.
Thanks, Joe. Really appreciate it. Like I said, check on Facebook and take a look at that Angel thing. You do not have to be a member of Facebook, by the way, to see that. That's something that I learned. But check it out. I think you'll be intrigued about the relationship between those 3 and how quickly it's developed.
Yeah, I'm blown away. Alan Reinhardt's on Facebook, technically.
No.
We are, though.
Alan.
You're on
Alan's
Facebook.
face is on Facebook. Alan does not have a Facebook page.
I'm going to go see you on Facebook right now, Alan.
All right. Let me know what you think.
Thank you so much. I will do. Everyone, go check that out, NHRA's Facebook page, and make sure you get all the updates throughout the season. All kinds of great stuff on there. All right, Alan, see you in a few days.
Travel safe, Joe. I'll see you in California.
Thanks, Alan. There he goes, the voice of the NHRA, Alan Reinhart, who starts off each edition of WFO Radio NHRA Nitro, except for this one. He was not happy about it. He was kidding around. Look, here's the story behind that, okay? As we have got Dave Connolly and Ron Capps, Matt Sackman, Ed Federkyle, all coming up. Multiple categories represented. Couple Mellow Yellow Series categories, couple Lucas Oil Series categories. We want to mix it up here on the show. But Alan has been doing this show back to 2006. It's 2019 now. WFO Radio Podcast is in its 10th year. I was an over-the-air radio guy for many years. I worked at XM NASCAR Radio, and then some things happened, and we had to change the show. What are we going to do? And I went to the executives, and I was like, drag racing is a big thing. It is a big up-and-coming thing. I'm a participant. I'm telling you, there are drag racers all around the country, car guys, that will love to hear something on their radio. And so we put together the show called Power Shift. And Alan Reinhart on Tuesdays would come on, and we were doing that through 2006 to 2008. And we had an open wheel day, and we had an IndyCar day. But the fact is that over the air, NHRA interview, long-form discussion like this goes back to that in 2006. And Reinhardt always, started off a segment. So when we started the WFO Radio podcast in 2009, 10 years ago, Alan Reinhart was very willing to help out. It was like, you want to come over to the podcast? We got no listeners, right? We got nobody. He and Tony Schumacher and others, Ron Capps and others. Yeah, man, it's okay. We know that you're going to grow, and it's going to grow, and that this is a thing in the future. And we just started doing the shows and doing the shows and doing the shows, and now we have been here for 10 years. And it is just a pretty amazing situation. And, now podcasting is obviously exploded. Like, it's become a huge thing. And it is really cool. And Reinhardt starts us off with a debrief or a preview or all that, unless, like in this case, huge breaking news with Tony Schumacher. Everybody's buzzing about it. To me, it's a public service announcement to have him on first. Whatever the news is. And, I'm hearing all kinds of stuff, frankly. Good, bad, and otherwise. So we heard from Tony, and Tony said what Tony said. And we'll just keep following the story. We got Ron Capps, we got Dave Connolly, we got Matt Sackman, we got Ed Federkyle. How cool is it going to be that Connolly is going to be on the show? One of my personal favorites as, talent, driver, and crew chiefing talent, world champion, U.S. Nationals winner, one as a driver, one as a crew chief. Just amazing stuff. Amazing stuff. But right now, I want to tell you about CatSpotLitter.com and Magic Dry. Scott Palmer going to be out there racing. I'm very excited for his season. And the folks at CatSpot Litter jumped into the scene. I said at the start of the show that they were once one of those sponsors that wasn't involved in drag racing, and now they are. And how cool is that? You're caring for your cat, you're caring for your planet. It's not made out of chemicals, it's made out of coconuts. It works better, it masks odor, it does all the good things for you and your cat. And that's CatSpot Litter, and it's available at CatSpotLitter.com. There's 1,000 reasons why you should be doing this. One is that you don't have to carry the big bag around because it's shipped right to your door. You just put in the number of cats you have, and they send you a subscription. It's a very cool deal, really. CatSpotLitter.com. But also Magic Dry, and I tell you about both of them each week in this spot because they are equally helping the sport of drag racing. Palmer and Associates, guys like Dom Lagana out there occasionally, and WFO Radio. Get on the air. Make it happen. Fighting and clawing every step of the way. Magic Dry. Now, what's Magic Dry for? Yeah, maybe if you got a garage it would work, but it's really for larger people. So if you own a factory, if you are a larger company and you need to clean up spills of various kinds, Magic Dry is more of an industrial product. So go to the websites, check it out, catspotlitter.com or Magic Dry, find out more information. And if you get the opportunity, tell them you heard about it on WFO Radio because they are advertising in various places. Of course, Magic Dry on board with the Arizona Nationals, catspotlitter.com on board with the Northwest Nationals. Scott Palmer out there, not only does he come on the show every now and again, not only is he a top fuel driver, but he tells me he listens to the show. And there are times where he's like, yeah, I heard this, I heard that. And it's just a source of great pride that a guy like Scott Palmer can be out there over the road, chewing up the miles, listening to WFO. And you could chew up a lot of miles on that WFO Ignition show earlier this week. 2 hours and 48 minutes. You could hear me and the vicious fight I had with one of these wild iguanas here in South Florida. Yeah, it was a terrible scene. My neighbor accidentally let one into her house, and I was the guy who she came for help. And I had to go into her house and do a full sweep of the house and locate the iguana and, like, fight it, get it out. And this thing is like 4 feet long, man, maybe longer. It was crazy. It's a crazy scene. You can hear about that on The Ignition Show because it's fun. It's what it is. It's all about fun. Speaking of fun, when we come back, Ron Capps, yearly tradition. We speak with Capps in a long-form interview at the start of the season to find out, where it's at, where his head's at, what is he thinking. 25 years of NHRA drag racing for Ron Capps. Coming up next, this one is going to be over 3 hours. And if you're on your way to Pomona, what more could you want? Capps is next.
This is WFO Radio.
Now, though, I want to tell you about Hangstifer's metalworking lubricants. The folks at Hangstifer's on board with big racers like Antron Brown and Lucas Oil Series of sportsman racers in the Racing RV's Top Dragster category. And their number one goal at Hangstifer's is to increase the productivity in the shop. Metalworking lubricants, coolants, all kinds of stuff. You got to go to the website and check them out. And so go to hangstifers.com to find out more information. Alan Reinhardt always says, like, the one thing that DSR and JFR have in common is Hangstifers metalworking lubricants. We're happy to have them on board, happy to have them helping our WFO radio listeners in their shop. Hangstifers metalworking lubricants, trying to make you a little more efficient in the shop.
Start your education at full speed with the School of Automotive Machinists and Technology. Accelerate your career as a high-performance engine builder with classroom instruction and practical hands-on experience in the lab, on the dyno, and at the track. In addition to the blockhead and CNC programs, SAM now offers motorsport, EFI tuning, and an Associates of Applied Science degree. And SAM is a military-friendly school, approved to train veterans and other eligible persons under the GI Bill. Start your education at full speed. Go to samtech.edu today.
Hey, this is Joe Costello, and we'll be back to the show in a second. But first, I want to tell you about CompetitionPlus.com. There's a reason CompetitionPlus.com is the leader among drag racing electronic magazines. Their trained staff is always on alert and always asking the tough questions. The end result is hard-hitting drag racing journalism with up-to-the-minute reporting. For over a decade, CompetitionPlus.com has been a pioneer as drag racing's go-to source for the latest in news, race coverage, and high-quality photography. Their trained staff thrives on getting the inside stories, and their columnists study their topics before they hit their first keystroke. When it comes to covering the races, they leave you feeling as if you've actually been to the race. CompetitionPlus.com is an honest-to-goodness, free drag racing magazine, published by the most passionate of drag racing fans, who just happen to be journalists. Don't wonder what's going on in the drag racing world. Be in the know daily. Log on to CompetitionPlus.com.
Subscribe to WFO Radio on iTunes. Never miss a show. And don't forget to write a review. WFO.
Now, back to WFO Radio, NHRA Nitro.
Welcome back to NHRA Nitro WFO Radio. Reviews, 5 stars, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, the mobile app, all that stuff. Write a review. Comp Eliminator fans, you got Ed Federkyle going to be on. We're going to talk Competition Eliminator. Top Alcohol Dragster fans, or A-Fuel Dragster fans, we got Matt Sackman on. Going to be running Randy Myers Dragster this weekend, starting off the season. I really want to showcase a lot of fresh faces. But at the same time, veteran drivers like Ron Capps, there's always going to be a spot on WFO Radio. As we, this churn, we had Jordan Vandergriff on at the beginning of the year. Just so many great personalities. Got a lot of positive feedback on Todd Smith in the studio last week. A lot of great stuff. Todd Smith, that was just awesome. You can go back and listen. We had Aaron Stanfield. A lot of fun stuff over the past couple of weeks. And the idea of having in-studio guests is very appealing to me. Right now, I want to tell you about Frank Hawley's Drag Racing School and the Dragster Adventure. Open a browser. Here's the deal, folks. Okay, listen. It's my job to entice you to doing something that maybe you never thought you could do. And that is picking up the phone and calling 866-480-7223. What? That's it? Pick up the phone line? No. the Dragster Adventure. Side-by-side drag racing, potentially. You get to make 3 runs over the course of the day on a half-track and 2 full-track passes. How fast? First of all, in a rear-engine dragster. Second of all, 130 miles per hour in the quarter mile. Like, this is all worked out by you and the folks at Frank Hawley's Drag Racing School. They're going to Gainesville. They're going to Fontana. They're going to Joliet. They're going to Baytown. They're going to Woodburn. They're going to Norwalk. They're going to Reading. And they're going to Fontana again. So they come to where you are. You could also get in their top dragster classes. You can get in their Super Comp, Super Gas classes. You can bring your own car. They've got all kinds of programs to make you a better racer. But my opinion is that as a fan of the sport, this experience will fundamentally change your perspective of everything that you see. Just a fundamental change of what you're watching to your understanding of what is now going on just by going through this. And you will love it. 866-480-7223. It's called the Dragster Adventure. It's available at frankhawley.com. Check it out. Book it. Doesn't have to be today, but go look at the dates and find out it is something you will truly love. All right. Joining us now to continue what has been a pretty good streak of pre-season conversations, driver of the Napa Auto Parts Dodge Charger, Ron Capps, joins us once again here at the start of 2019. Ron, welcome back. How are you?
I'm good, Joe. I can't believe it's here already. First of all, this is, every off season we talk, and usually you and I'll chat about the off season, and it usually flies by for me with all the stuff we do with our sponsors, and this year I actually got to relax a little bit more than usual, and I'm raring to go. Can't wait.
I can't wait either, and I'm real fired up about like the season last year and the past couple of years, and I've been out there more and more, and so learning more and more, becoming more immersed in the sport, and it was really weird after Pomona. For the first time, I felt like, tired, man. It's not like I wanted to get away, but I was tired. And everybody told me that, you'll go a couple of weeks and then you'll want to be back and you'll want this again and you'll want to be back again. And I'm feeling that. And I'm super excited about the Lucas Oil Winter Nationals. And I'm just going to be there announcing. Like, I can't imagine what it feels like for you as a driver.
Yeah, and for this year, here in 2019, there's a lot of cool stuff. We did the usual off season. We did our 13th annual, which is crazy to think, Caps Fan Cruise, and it went out at Los Angeles. So that was nice and close, and we didn't have to travel to get on the boat. And they're already traveling or planning next year's out of Miami, which is going to be a great cruise.
But, there you go.
So
the MIA.
Yeah, we did that. I could stop at your house and say hi, right?
Yes. WFO in studio, Ron Capps. We did it with Todd Smith. Why can't we do it with Ron Capps, right?
Perfect. I like it. And so, yeah, we kind of, we got ready, did all the stuff for this year, all the promo stuff, and then Napa had asked me if I wanted to be involved in this year's paint scheme, which is a first. We're 11 years in the sponsorship, and I've loved every year. I mean, every paint scheme has been awesome, and for them to ask me to be more involved in it this year was awesome, too, to kind of go through the motions. So I was pumped, really, for our fans to kind of see something a little bit different, sort of a little updated, and kind of cool, and so they let me go at it, and it turned out great. I think we'll see what the fans think, but and then all of a sudden here's preseason testing, and we didn't attend it, and that was a little strange to sit at home and watch it, and not be able to make some laps in the car, and just sort of, people. I got to say it. I mean, as many years as I've been doing, I know Forrest will say the same thing. After, the season is grueling after the countdown, and then you sort of get a chance to get back in the car and be reminded of how unbelievably awesome these funny cars are. When you step on the gas at preseason testing, it's nice because the crew chief is checking new stuff out, and usually you get to go to half track because, to be honest with you, when you're out of the car for a couple months, it just, you forget how unbelievable these things are. And so that's always nice. Well, this year we didn't attend the testing, so the first time I step on the gas is going to be Q1 in Pomona. So this ought to be fun.
Okay, you've been down the track many, 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 many times. This is your 25th year in the NHRA. That feeling that you're describing, is that nervousness? Is that just excitement? I agree. You're about to go through something crazy, and when you do it, it's going to matter. Q1.
Yeah, and Pomona being a short shutdown, it's one of our most historic tracks, but it's also the shortest probably shutdown area. We have brand new Dodge Hellcat bodies that we've never run, so we spent a lot of the off season. That was part of why we didn't go to testing, as Tobler wanted to make sure everything was done right. Brand new chassis, made a lot of good changes. So we'll probably make a checkout run, believe it or not. Q1, he'll probably have me shut it off about 700 or 800 feet if it's running good, and just come back. He'll look at everything to make sure everything's good. We got to double check the chutes. Everything works with the Hellcat body, and you just kind of want to check everything over. You don't want to run it on down there, even if it's running good the first run, and not be able to check everything out. So when we went to the Hellcat bodies, we had to change everything with our chassis up front. So it wasn't a matter of putting those Hellcat bodies on when Hagen started running them last year. It wasn't a matter of bolting on the DSR chassis we already had. We had to reconfigure the front of these cars for the way the chassis sat on them. So there was a lot more going on, and so we wanted to make sure everything was right.
I have just retweeted a photograph of the new paint scheme, and that's awesome. A little light blue in there, maybe a little more yellow, and you were involved. I like the Hellcat body. I think it's cool, and now that there's, you've explained like why there was a reason. I know Ron had told us last year, the balance of the car, you're moving everything, right? It's changing the balance of the car, and that's challenging. Now you guys have had, the off season to hopefully figure that all out.
Yeah, from what Hagen says, and actually Beckman's team ran it a little bit at the end of last year, so they were thumbs up as far as being able to drive it and see out of it and all that. So, we'll work on the balance of the car. Every car is different, even though we got everything set up the same in our camp with all the different cars. Every car is a little different, and so you just kind of want to move the weight around. If you got to move fire bottles from front to back or vice versa, that's what you do, and it's team to team. So a lot of times, even though it's set up the same, if you pull the body off, there's a lot of things different.
Very interesting. So, Ron, 53 years old now, and I'm not that far behind you. And we've watched your career. I mentioned 25 years, and I'm thinking as you go through this, again and again, getting up, going out, starting this journey. It's a fight. It's a battle. There's ups, there's downs, highs, lows, intense pressure. You are not just a driver in that you have so many things to do on the schedule with the folks at Napa, and that's one of the reasons they've re-upped with you and extended this relationship. Like, where's your head at right now? As this part of your life where you're doing this, you're heading out on the long, lonesome highway once again to chase the dream of winning a Mellow Yellow World Championship, another one.
It's strange. Even you mentioned my age and how many years. It's I feel like I'm 25 still. Even this morning. I mean, it's I guess it's the lifestyle and just kind of what you where your head is kind of depicts where you think you're going to be, and I try to every day is a matter of getting better and trying to be better in who I know is I'm going to have to race against. I'm pretty much every day at the gym doing something, and the people I hang around with, the rock and roll people and the skateboarders and everybody that we sort of, the time I spend away from the racetrack, and I guess it keeps me young. But I really feel like I'm in better shape physically, believe it or not, than I was when I was 25, and I strive to be better on everything I do, including everything out of the racetrack, sponsorship-wise, all the stuff we do with our sponsors you may not hear or you do hear, and social media, man. It's I was not real pleased about starting to do it when I did, 10 years ago or whenever this all started. I didn't believe people wanted to know what the heck we were doing every minute of the day or what we were going to do, and I'm glad I did, but I fought it. I fought it pretty hard, and but it's a matter of what you have to do nowadays, and you got to stay relevant pretty much. And I love hearing people walk up to me and go, "Hey man, I love following you on Instagram. You're a crack up. You do this. I love your post." Those are those moments where you go, "Okay, well that made it all worth it."
Well, just looking at your feed, and whenever I speak with you, I bring up your feed because you're very active, and you have been. You were at the what is it, the Grand National Roadster Show, which was right there in Pomona. You had your car in the show, which is kind of cool, and that's like a hybrid event, right? You get to go out and build awareness, and yet also you're a car guy and you get to show your car.
Yeah, and it was amazing how many NHRA fans. Every time we left that building and came back, there were all these fans around taking pictures of it, and people pointing at my name on the sign next to the car. we kind of sat back a couple of times, just watched people, and it was pretty fun because they'd turn around and some of them would see me and come over and get pictures taken, and it makes you feel so good about being a part of our sport and how much it's really grown here lately, and to have people posting pictures of them next to my car because they saw it on social media was cool. But the Grand National Roadster Show was sort of a nice thing before this Pomona race because I got to hang around with all the every hero I could think of in drag racing was hanging out there. They've all got street rods or know somebody does, and they were just it was fun to kind of reminisce with some of these old school guys and have a car there and kind of be, that kind of coolness for a while, just hanging out. And so that was fun, and it's just, right there at the fairgrounds, we were literally 1,000 feet from the drag strip is where the building was. So it was kind of strange to be there and not be racing.
Yeah, I can imagine. 59 Winter Nationals. That is just such a big number. I know this year we're getting ready for the 50th Amalie Motor Oil NHRA Gator Nationals, and we're going to make a huge milestone of that. Unfinished Business, Ed the Ace, Snake, a bunch of guys that are very relevant in your life and career, going to get a chance to battle against Garlitz, Muldowney, Terry Vance, Warren Johnson, across categories. I'm excited about that. They're going to be in Toyota Camrys, but I'm okay with it. Maybe it gives their personalities a little more opportunity. I do think that somebody's going to cheat somehow, but I just don't know how that's going to happen. But it's crazy when we get in these sports and these races up in numbers like 50, 59, and showing how the history of the sport has gone for so many years.
Yeah, and those constant milestones, it's hard to imagine. And it's too bad Wally Parks can't physically see what he's accomplished and what he started. It's pretty neat to see the longevity of some of these races, and I can't wait for that either. I was kind of blown away. I figured they'd be in Dodge Hemis or, something a little more powerful. But like you said, I think it's actually going to be cooler because it's really going to put a more emphasis on each of those heroes at the Gators. I can tell you right now, I will be standing as close to the starting line as I can get when they run that thing because it's already got me excited about watching because I know Snake and I know Ace really well, obviously getting to work for them. But to watch them and watch, compete against Shirley and Warren and Terry Vance, it's going to be a lot of fun.
I'm already advocating, NHRA is going to have a system for determining the pairings, and that's their business and all. But I just want to, publicly state, and I wonder what you think, as far as matchups go. Don't we have to see Garlitz and Muldowney first round just to make sure that it happens? Because, what if they're on opposite sides of the ladder and one of these other legends bounces them out, right? Don't we kind of have to see that one last time?
Yeah, they ought to hold it to a vote. Fan vote is what they should do, and I guarantee that would happen. There's no way that wouldn't happen. That will be epic. So, yeah.
Right?
Maybe the better thing would be to be down by you at the top end of the track. That, as you were saying that, I thought, man, it'd be cool to see them when they get out of the cars at the other end of the track. So I might be standing there being your assistant.
There you go. Or how about passengers? Let's let passenger reporters in the cars while it happens.
No, I don't want. Yeah, if something goes wrong, I don't want to be anywhere near any of these drivers.
That is funny, hysterical, and also true. All right, let's focus a little bit more on your team. In that, okay, last year. Characterize your last year. Give me when you look back at 2018. What do you think about what happened? J.R. Todd went on, won the championship, had a great countdown in a year that that his countdown was fantastic. Not as fantastic as Steve Torrance's countdown, but then again, no one has ever done that. But when you look back at 2018, what do you think about what happened, how it went?
For us, we let it get away. I really felt like St. Louis was a turning point. We just come off of Reading, where we had a good semifinals, and then I had an accident down at the other end of the track, and I thought my season was over.
Let me interject, because I wasn't there for that, and I heard about it, and we discussed it afterwards. And then Robert went on and had his problem, and it was a very interesting thing. Nobody, I don't expect you to ever say, oh, it factored in, because people are like, well, for you, I saw you standing against the wall right after that, the next race, and you were in pain, man. You were favoring a leg, you were in pain, you weren't your normal self, you had to soldier through. Driving one of these cars, there had to be an effect. There had to.
I don't think so. I really don't. We lost. I lost on a hole shot to Cruz first round. We had a great car in qualifying. In fact, probably one of the best cars. And I'm not sure why I wasn't super late, but for me, I didn't think I was that late. I know Cruz, he rolls it in, usually pretty good amount. But I just, for whatever reason, I wasn't my usual self. And I believe it or not, we did Tyler, our clutch guy, and Tova worked real hard to make sure the clutch. It was my left leg, and the worst part was leaving Redding in a wheelchair. And I'm boarding my plane in Philly the next morning, and there's fans and some other couple of Steve Torrance's guys ran into me, and they're pushing me through the airport in a wheelchair. And I thought my season was done, and we just had a great start. So that race, I was fine physically. I could push the clutch in. It wasn't affecting me at all. And I think that was really the point that kind of cost us the season, I feel like, anyway. But I think the whole season for everybody was strange. We had the track prep thing kind of changed throughout the year. We went back to the 5-disc, and it was a great move by Tobler because of the lack of track prep being put down, that I think a lot of teams figured out that the 6-disc, and funny cars anyway, may not be the right move. And we were very comfortable with the 5-disc from winning the championship and almost going back-to-back. So long story short, I just feel like I know a lot of teams would probably tell you, including Height, who, man, it was unbelievable to get back in the car after what he did. And then you just, JR to just stretch that lead out, and they just hit their stride. And, all you can do is take your hat off to somebody like that. And I just felt like we had a great shot, and then we lost a bunch of points when we went out early in St. Louis. And having the best car and that happening hurts so much more, especially when you're talking in the off-season about what happened and what you can do better. And then doing interviews with Joe in January or in February, right before Pomona, talking about the season and having to remember, what happened. And so anyway, I think that probably cost us the championship, to be honest with you.
Wow. And well, I believe that what do they say? You learn so much more from mistakes and failures than you do from success, although we prefer success. And so here you are getting ready to go. How about the team? Ron, Dustin, who's back? Has there been any turnover at the Napa team?
No turnover at all. And Tobler had to take a couple trips with Don during the off season, and we talk quite a bit. Tobler and I will either text or call, and he'll update me on stuff going on with the shop. And he's very tight with what goes on with Don and the whole shop. So he called me, and he was very, very impressed with what Dustin, it was his first year as a crew chief assistant this last year, and he's brought up as from being a car chief. And this isn't a guy that's been around a lot of electronic stuff on the car or clutches or really tune-up related stuff prior to going into this last season as Ron's assistant. And you look back at this, the list of Ron's assistants is pretty cool, of where all these assistants are now and what they've done. So he came back from one of the trips with Don, and Dustin had really taken the reins on a lot of stuff that Ron didn't expect that he might be able to at that point. And so I was really happy to hear how impressed he was. So I'm so excited. Dustin's a great guy, and he's going to go on to be a great crew chief someday. But our team's got no turnover, which is great. We've pretty much been that way since 2012. We've had one guy here or there, but not a lot of drivers can tell you they've had the consistency with teams like I've been able to have throughout the years. Whether it was a Brute car or even back to the Skoll car, having the same crew members core, the same group of people through the off season is a big deal. And so I feel like it's going to be great. We got a lot of new stuff with the Hellcat. We got a lot of things Tobler wants to try, but I think we're going to hit the ground running.
Wow, that is great. So Afflerbach is back. Booger is back. Tyler's back. Yeah. Terry's back. That's cool, though. You guys have your guys want to be there. Like, it is a real team. Like, it's a team. It's we say the word crew, but it's really a team.
No, it is, and they're family to me. They've all got nicknames. Some I can say in the air, and some I can't. But that's the thing about our guys. They've all got nicknames, and when one of them comes in, like we had a new guy at the beginning of last year, he gets given a nickname. He doesn't get to choose it, and the rest of the team is pretty quick about giving people nicknames. So it's always fun, and they are my family. I can't wait to see them and hang out with them when I first see him at Pomona this week. And, I spend most of my time, probably more than I do with my own family. So it means a lot to be just hang out with him.
The clutch, you mentioned the clutch, 5-disc, 6-disc, going back, going forward. What is the plan for 2019?
Well, we went back to that 5-disc and right away just went back to the same performance we had before it. Dickie Venables, I think pretty much everybody. I don't think Beckman's car went back to the 5-disc. I could be wrong, but I think Medlin and Guido kept the 6-disc in their car. So the rest of us are going to be 5-disc and just continuing on. And, for the fans listening, and the track prep, when it got to be less sticky, part of the really what does the 6-disc so justice is that you're able to just mow through it when there's a lot of good traction and really apply the power. And when we had the track prep taken back a little bit and the tracks weren't as sticky, to be ahead that, hey, this is going to be something that maybe we want to go back to where we're at with the 5-disc and all the data we have. So I'm glad he did.
There you go. All right, big news. There's lots of news in the sport of drag racing, and as much as you are, a champion driver and one of the, the veterans that's out there on the tour, I imagine you have some opinions about some things that are going on. The one that's bummed me out so much is just finding out that Tony Schumacher, as of right now, who knows, maybe there'll be some sort of, but as announced on his Facebook page, he's not going to be running the Winter Nationals. And that while it might end up being like a 1 or 2 race story, still a bummer.
Yeah, I got a text from him yesterday. We've been talking, and it looked like they had something signed, and it might still be, but I think Don's making the right move. He wants to keep that team intact. It's a great team, and I think he'd rather keep that team and keep their salaries paid and have to skip a race and be ready with something signed than to tell them that they can't fund the car and have them all go look for other jobs and then have something pop up. So it looked really promising, and hopefully it still is. But yeah, Tony, he's one of the best spokespeople you could have as a sponsor, and I was pretty sure it was going to happen right away. But that's the world out there. You look at NASCAR, and there's nobody's got a full sponsorship. Everybody's got things pieced together. Even the best drivers over there in NASCAR, which I think for sure we're going to have something on Tony's car, and I look forward to him. He's going to come hang out, which will be fun. But it's going to be strange to not see him in a car.
Send him up to the TV booth. That's another aspect. Our mutual great friend Brian Loans with a huge promotion to be the the lead on Fox Sports and kind of try to. He's so passionate. Deliver that passion to people who are flipping through channels. Like, what is this? What's going on with this sport? Why are these cars going so fast? That's kind of exciting.
Yeah, I've known Brian a long time. Him and Chad, the bank shift guys, I remember getting them to come cover our West Palm Beach preseason test with bank shift. I know them from covering the March meet, and really both those guys from a long time. And watching Brian the first time that they put him down there doing what you do at the top end of the track, it was fun to watch him grow. And he brings a fresh kind of a different aspect to what's going on in the booth, and I'm looking forward. He's very knowledgeable, but he, it's fun hearing you guys and familiar voices. You turn on the radio in the trailer and hear you, or Brian, or whoever it may be at the track, and Brian Hart on the PA. It's just, it's nice, and you get a comfort with that. And Brian, I think, is gonna, he's funny when he needs to be, and I think he's gonna bring a whole new feel to our TV program.
I exactly. And what it's going to be, I don't know. Of course, we're doing NHRA TV. Did you see that? Partnering with Sony. To me, that's the headline, though. I mean, not to be critical, but I feel like NHRA partners with Sony is the headline. Like, okay, that's they're good, and I think it's going to be good. What do you think?
Yeah, everything's going to that. I watch Supercross a lot, and you look at other motorsports and other sports, and that's what today's all about. I mean, I find myself on my phone, after qualifying's over and I'm back at the hotel. Most of the time in the hotel at night, I'm on my phone or my laptop, and I'm watching an app from another sort of racing or sport or golf or whatever it may be, and I'm watching it through my mobile device. And we've always had the all access at the house, and we've got a nice big TV in the family room, and So when I'm on the road, the family watches all access the show live on a big TV like they're at the racetrack. So this switching over to this NHRA TV is going to be cool. We got Roku, and so the app's right on it, which is awesome. And
yeah,
I think a lot of people, my dad, my father-in-law, my mother-in-law, they all tune in on their devices. So if people got something to do, you go on out, and to be able to watch it is cool. And I think it's going to be better and better as that NHRA TV grows.
I agree. Your great auto parts manufacturer rival, Courtney, over the past couple of years. And let's face it, you've been around. It's your 25th year in the sport. She hasn't been around quite as long, but she made a strong impression. And whenever you and she would roll to the starting line, I would think, wow, I would remember the Battle of the Beer Wagons and all the great sponsor rivalries that happened. And, of course, DSR versus John Force Racing. Courtney has decided to move on to a different part of her life, which, of course, that is going to happen. Going to be a little bit of a bummer to not have her out there, that we're not going to see that cool rivalry anymore.
Yeah, it's always nice to have, and trust me, I remember last year at the countdown race in Charlotte, there was a photo that was put out on the internet of that. We ended up winning the race that weekend, but the special paint scheme we ran, and we were side by side with that car, and we were out a car length and a half or so, and I got an email I never get, and it was from the CEO of Napa Auto Parts, telling me that he was using that picture for a speech he was giving that night and how he appreciated everything we do. And it was so out of the blue and so cool. I mean, I ran around showing Don and Tobler and everybody. So it means a lot, trust me. And so it's going to be strange. I love and hate the fact that Courtney's not driving anymore. I love the fact that I don't have to line up next to her, because she was a thorn, man. She was good, and you knew that you had a fight on your hands when you raced her. So it's going to be strange not having her out there, and obviously we know the karate and how they ran with that car. It's going to be tough, and Force is it's going to be fun to race him, but he's got a fast hot rod this year.
Yeah, the testing, they didn't blow up anything. They kept it all together, and that's a joke that they're making, not just me. Like, they said that this was their best test session in a while. Obviously, Brian Karate over there, John Force wants to win. You guys are the 1 and 2 in funny car, like, for many years. Number 1 and 2 in terms of wins for this last era, for basically our whole conscious life, certainly this century that we have been watching. And to see you guys and JR and Sean Langdon and all these guys, Robert, of course, like, get in there and battle it out, to me, that's what it's all about. It's going to be so exciting to watch. And, every race matters, even the Winter Nationals. It's the first one. You're not going to make the countdown this weekend, but, boy, winning the first race of the year. I mean, that having been said, Matt Hagan usually wins this one.
Yeah, this is going to be... This field, we say it again every year. You and I talk about it, and it's you start to count how many cars you would put in what position, and God, the talent. You added Tasca's car with Mike Green now, and Wilkerson, of course, you can't count out. There's so many good cars. It's going to be, every year you wonder, is funny car is the field going to get lighter or maybe a little easier? And not even a chance. I mean, it's going to be tough. And seeing preseason testing, there were some good running cars that, they're going to be factors the whole season.
So one of our listeners, we've got this Patreon audience, which is like people who, pay a couple of bucks a month to hear behind-the-scenes stuff on the show. And I invited them to, if you got a question for Ron, like, let me hear something, a supplement, virtual producers, so to speak. And one of them, Sean, he said he was listening to JR's podcast, Nomex Effect, along with Sean, and that they were talking about you and Ron and Brian Loans. I went back to figure out exactly what they were talking about. Freiberger and Loans were in there, and it was a really good conversation about the sport. They love the sport, and we all love the sport. And they were talking about you and the detail with which you discuss every run. And so that's what Sean wants to know. The first couple of feet, 5 feet, 10 feet, 30 feet, 60 feet, 100 feet, 150 feet, like how detailed. Sean wants to know, how detailed does this get? Are you actually a robot that is able to process information that quickly while driving a funny car? And so I thought it would be interesting, for you to kind of give us a download on that. Like the run, you've taken us through runs before, but how do you remember that? How do you know what the car did 30 feet out, that I have to drive around a bump, that I have to worry about a transition that's coming up at 280 feet, something like that down the track? You're worried about a crack, a seam. How do you remember that? How do you know all that? How do you regurgitate that after a run?
That's a good question. And a lot of times, honestly, I don't. And I think a lot of drivers will tell you the same thing. You know, I was lucky enough when I started driving the great Steve Evans. You know, I got to know him pretty good, and he was, of course, you know, a great announcer. And I just remember him one night after dinner somewhere, and I was in Top Fuel my rookie year, and I remember him pulling me aside, and he said, "Hey, I just want to tell you, keep up the enthusiastic interviews," he said, "but if I could give you any advice, it would be take the listener at home along with you for that ride. Don't worry about being a billboard. Don't worry about mentioning your sponsors twice over and over, and don't sound like a robot. But take that person at home, because that's what made John Force so great through all those years. Not that he isn't now, but he had those people at home on the couch, including myself when I was younger, excited about what he just went through, whether he made it up or not. You know what I mean? He had your hair standing up on your neck because he was describing what happened in that race car. And that was the advice Steve Evans gave me. And I've never, ever had one sponsor question me about my interviews or not mentioning them in one interview here or there. And I think that was probably the biggest thing. And still today, when I get people saying they love my interviews because I take them through what our brain was going through. So, you know, I'm lucky Steve Evans did that and said that to me. But a lot of times, any driver, I think, unless it's Beckman, and he'll probably read it back to you like he's iRobot. But there's a lot of times you don't remember things that happened during the run, and it's not until later. And to be honest with you, there's been times at night or even the next morning I'll wake up and I'll remember something that happened, and I'll either text my crew chief or call him or let him know right when I got back in the pit area of something I remembered. And it's funny how your brain works. You go through this stuff that's crammed into 3 seconds that's the most adrenaline you could imagine going through, the most craziness you'd imagine for 3 seconds that your brain, and sometimes it doesn't unload like a computer and spit the information out right away. So there's times when you don't remember what happened, but a lot of runs you're sort of hoping you're going straight early on in the run because it's so difficult to see with the vibration, the sound, and the clutch dust and everything that's flying up. But once the car gets to about a second and a half, it actually gets easier to see, believe it or not, the faster it goes. It gets quieter the faster you get going, which is bizarro for your brain. And it gets a little smoother, and the rear tire grows so you can see a little better over the injector. So it's crucial that first second and a half or 2 seconds to make sure you got it lined up, because once the clutch comes in and starts to apply and throw you back to even more G's, at that point, at 2 seconds in the run, you're planted into the trunk, and your brain can't imagine that you're going through more G's than it was when you just stepped on the gas. And you better have the car straight at that point, and that's crucial, because if you don't, then you're fighting it, and you're behind the 8 ball from then on, and you really have to sort of make big moves. And a lot of times, those big moves will cause the car some uneasiness. It'll cause it to come loose. So he's got a great question, because we don't have the sound as much as you guys hear outside the car when we step on the gas, but it surely is it's like the world's flying apart for a second and a half inside the car, because of just, you know, there's little particles from the run before, and there's more clutch dust, and it's hard to see, and it's just loud and crazy, and you're just trying to get through that first second and a half.
Wow. You know what I found to be interesting is when I ask you the question, you reference Steve Evans, which is just awesome. Like the idea that I watched him as a kid too, and I think he's one of the greatest, and Cameron's a friend, and just so many different things. But it triggered something in my mind about how you learn and remember, not you in particular, but just people in general, and that we're always fighting the boring interview, which is what you basically described. You know, my sponsors got me here, and here goes the sponsors, and here are the names of the sponsors, and this is the sponsor, and that's it, and thank you. And people hate that. And people wonder why John Force is so popular. It's because of what you just said. You saw Elvis said, what is this guy talking about? Oh my gosh, this is crazy. Let's watch. But by going through your run and telling and basically repeating it the second you get out for everyone, that helps you remember and understand the details. Like at the same time you're giving an interview, you're also like collecting your thoughts and processing for an important reason. What just happened in a way, I'm asking, helps you understand what you just did because you're doing that instead of giving some lame sponsor interview. No offense.
Yeah, and there's a lot of times I'll get flack over something I said in an interview, or somebody else, some other driver might. And people have to remember the adrenaline we have, and we don't have a lap to go around holding the checkered flag out and calm down and cool down like some other motorsports. You know what I mean? We turn the corner, pop out of the roof hatch, and there it is. You better get out and do the right stuff. And you just went through more adrenaline than most people ever go through in their life, and you just did it in 3 seconds. So I don't always say the right stuff, nor do any other drivers, and sometimes we say the wrong thing, and a lot of times I get in the tow vehicle and I go, what did I just say? Seriously, what did I, and you just can't help yourself sometimes. The Jim Head thing in Seattle, I got so much flack over that, but people didn't understand the bizarre conversation that happened right before I get in the car for that race day. And it's on my mind throughout the whole run. And so as soon as I get out, my adrenaline's going and out it comes. I didn't expect to say anything.
Right.
And just sometimes things happen, and sometimes you want to take them back and you can't because it's live and it's on film and that's it. So,
one, you thought that, Jim, you were confused. I remember you were confused. Was this guy trying to get in my head? Jim Head's not the kind of guy that does that. What's going on? You were just confused, and you aired your confusion, basically. You basically, what's going on? You used our microphone to, question what was that all about?
Yeah, sometimes you get out and you're talking to or another driver's talking to somebody else there, standing there, and then the interview sort of starts. and when you guys start the interview, you're there listening, so you want elaboration on whatever's going on, and you want excitement, and you're good about it. You see something that people might want to know at home that's going to spice things up, then hey, why not figure it out? I love watching NASCAR when two drivers aren't getting along and something happened on the track. You're on the edge of your seat waiting to hear what's going to happen next. So, a lot of times, like I said, you just went through an amazing amount of adrenaline. And on that run, we happened to go low AT, I think, on a first-round run. But the whole time I've got this other thing on my brain, which I was perplexed by. So a lot goes on some of these runs. And sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. But I tell you, more times than not, I got back in the tow vehicle or I got home and turned on the TV and forgot that I had even said what I said in the interview. And then sometimes you shake your head and you go, oh, why did I say that? But it is what it is.
It is what it. Well, even Tobler. Even I remember one time, he had. I don't know exactly what it was to this day, but there was a subject being discussed before the run that, when you got out, the first thing you said, I don't know what that discussion was. To me, it's, breathing. Whatever part of the brain that controls breathing, you can't, stop it. It just happens. It seems like sometimes that's the part of the brain that just takes over after you've gone through this event.
Yeah, and most of us are. I'm an emotional guy. I strive on it and I use it, but it takes for me to kind of to hit the boiling point on something. It takes a lot to get me to that point. But when you do, or something does get me to that point, I'm gonna sort of explode with it, and I like to get it off my chest usually. But again, when you're up there racing these cars and you're staging and all the pressure that we have to do the right thing with all these people standing behind us and, all these people watching at home and supporters and sponsors and family and, there's a lot of pressure there. So you really sometimes can't corral it all. And again, there's things that are said and I empathize for a lot of the other drivers when I hear interviews and I go, oh, they're going to wish they didn't say that, but I've been there.
But that's, but again, it's entertainment. In the end, hopefully, and that's the problem. That's the downside is that, whatever Caps just said, it's not that big a deal because Caps is a good guy. And then, an hour from now, whatever it is, we're going to figure it out, right? It's not the worst thing in the world. None of it. Nothing that anybody says at the top end of the racetrack in this context of drag racing. Let's go with the entertainment value because I think it is. But unfortunately, you guys have to deal with a lot of fans that maybe don't quite get that and go over the top with their response.
I can't tell you how many times I've texted or went over and talked to or called somebody during the week, another driver or another team or somebody. Maybe I celebrated after beating them, or maybe I said something and I thought, oh man, I didn't mean it to sound that way. And I do that a lot. I might send a text and say, man, I didn't mean to, it wasn't intentionally rubbing it in your face or, and most of the time I've gotten to know everybody pretty well out in the tour, so we all know each other, and sometimes you even expect it. So yeah, it's a lot of stuff behind the scenes that fans may not know that goes on, and it probably would change their opinion a little bit, but hopefully that some of that can be brought out. I think the fans would love hearing about it.
Well, exactly, and that's the thing is like we're always talking about, like the fans. I don't know if this is exactly right, but, we want to see you guys rub it in each other's face. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, my guys just beat your guys. Like like when the Patriots won the Super Bowl against the Rams, and I don't know where you fall in that whole thing, being out there in California and all, being that the Rams are a St. Louis team just recently back there. That was a Rams team way back in the day. You get what I'm saying. But like the passions of fans want to go, yeah, and they probably like seeing their driver be like, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and I have that passion for other sports, so I understand. And there's things that, I joke about it on my Facebook page. Sometimes things will get put up, or somebody has comments about something that I said during an interview, and it turns into this, hundreds of comments. And I tell people, hey, it's okay. You don't apologize for not being my fan and coming on my page and saying something. It's okay. I understand keep that passion. If you're a John Force fan, love being a John Force fan. You don't have to like me, but don't make personal statements or bash me because you don't know me. That's the point where I go, hey, it's okay to be that way, but don't hate somebody personally if you've never even known them. And so it's fun. It's fun seeing that banter back and forth with our fans.
And what other sport has that, by the way, where you're a fan of someone else and you can go to the rival's Facebook page and get into a discussion debate with them about why you don't like them? Come on, that's so drag racing.
Yeah, it's true.
You're like right there. You're just accessible. All right, Ron, you always take so much time with us at the beginning of the year. I really appreciate it. To me, I was thinking this year, like, what do I want to do? Do I want to do something different, showcase the new faces? And I'm like, no, man. Me and Caps, we've got this tradition. Like, we do a season preview, and why would I stray away from that? So let me ask you, like, a final question. Okay, you've been doing this now. I hate to, I mentioned your age. I'm like doing terrible things to you on this given edition. 25 years in the sport, a quarter century. Oh my gosh! But you're headed out to Pomona now for a historic event in this racing series that we love so much, and you're going to see, you're going to see your peeps and your guys. You're going to get to smash the gas on an 11,000 horsepower Nitro funny car. You're going to get to compete against guys like John Force and Robert Height and people you respect. And there's a lot of really great stuff that's going to happen this weekend for you. Like, what do you look forward to the most?
For this race, I'm loading the motorhome up today. We got media day with a bunch of video and shoots and stuff we do with NHRA that kicks off the season, and that's Wednesday. Thursday, we set up the motorhome. I have friends and family. We sort of got an area that's roped off. They're fenced off of RV past the grandstands there. It's like a private area that I like getting there and getting set up with our friends. And Thursday, I love going up in the grandstands and watching top alcohol dragsters and funny cars and top dragster and all the sportsmen. And I spend Thursday kind of getting ready. And I know we're going to fire the car up a couple times this year, which isn't normal. I love just getting there early and just getting ready for the race. Once it starts, it's mayhem. And I joke sort of about having to get tickets and all the craziness that happens with a home race. But you got to love it. I love the fact that you get back to the motorhome at night and everybody's barbecuing and it's good family and friends hanging out. And I got all the rock star friends that live in L.A. that come hang out, and I don't get to see them all the time, and they get to see what we do, and that's just fun. And so I'm probably most looking forward to getting there and just seeing Tobler and the guys and getting ready for the battle. And there's nothing like pulling into that Pomona track. I mean, it just makes your hair stand up. So that's going to be what I'm looking forward to.
That's awesome. I want to tell everybody out there, inkmagazine.com. Jeff Hayden's got a great Q&A with Ron Capps. You got to check it out. It's all over the internet. Just search like Ron Capps Inc., which is really cool. That's you're getting pub outside of the sport with this. That is so vital. That's what we need. That's what we always talk about, and you're getting it. That is great.
Yeah, and it's just it's been awesome career, and I'm so happy and blessed to be where I'm at. I've made a living in drag racing without another job. That's been my only job for been doing it 25 years this year and representing great people. So It's fun right now. I got, like I said, I feel like I'm my second year driving, and so to see something like that, Allison, my publicist, she's been unbelievable. We got to do the Howard Stern wrap-up show last year, and these kind of fun things. She's really worked hard at that, and so I'm pumped. I can't wait. A lot of cool stuff, man. I can't wait for people to see our new car, the paint scheme. It's going to be a lot of fun, man. I'm looking forward to this weekend.
Friday Night Nitro, a program we started last year where we play music, rollout music for the burnouts. And, most people liked it. Some people, they're not going to like everything. But what you changed songs, which I appreciate. You can't always go with the same song. You mixed it up, switched it up on us. We're doing it again this year. Do you have a song pick?
I didn't know we could. I actually sent Hannah, who does that at NHRA, I actually sent her a note asking if we could change. I didn't want to make things harder on them.
You can.
I ironically gotten a text from J.R. Todd, and he had asked about the Metallica song that I had picked, and I said, you know what? I was just, that was his favorite song, I guess, and he was really wanting that song, and I had picked it first. I said, dude, it's yours. And this was going into Indy, or just after Indy, I think.
You sold it to him.
So I said, take it. And so I picked Pennywise, which is my buddies from Southern California, and the Broham song. And so it was a perfect thing. He got to play his Metallica song, and I've got Broham, which I'm starting off with this year in Pomona. We'll have that on. So, but it's cool because now they're allowing us drivers to pick different songs. So I'm looking forward to different songs, different areas of the country that we're going in. And I think the fans, if haven't witnessed it live, it's very cool to sit in the grandstands and wonder what song is coming on for each driver. And after it comes on, people are talking to each other like, hey, I didn't know that driver liked that kind of music. It's like Tim Wilkerson picked AC/DC or Metallica or something last year, and people were like, what? So it was pretty fun.
Yeah, very fun thing we do. All right, Ron, thank you very much. I appreciate it. I always look forward to this because it means that we are getting ready to go racing. Good luck this year, all season long, but in particular, the 59th Lucas Oil Winter Nationals, your 25th season of NHRA drag racing. You have made a career, not just a career, a championship career. It's been a whole lot of fun to watch. Thank you for your support, on and off the track and everything you do for WFO Radio. You're definitely a friend of the show. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, Joe. See you soon.
Thanks, Ron. There he goes. Ron Capps with us here on WFO Radio, and that's kind of a long-standing WFO Radio tradition, having a in detail, long-form one-on-one with Ron Capps at the start of the season, and Capps going on his cruise and all of that stuff, but now he's ready for 2019 to go out there and battle it out against some of the youngins like Blake Alexander, some of the classics like John Force. It's going to be a whole lot of fun. Sean Langdon, J.R. Todd, the champ. I'm excited to see J.R. as champion myself, to see how he carries himself, to see how he, leads. And, it's a responsibility. You're the face of the sport now. And J.R., I think, is ready to be the face of the sport. And I wonder, what he wants to highlight. I feel that every champ gets that opportunity to direct things. And he's going to get that opportunity from me. What's up with this sport, JR? And I'm excited about seeing him out there. So, and they had a great test. That's the thing. Todd Smith comes in and has a great test. But thanks to Ron Capps for coming on the show, and always great to speak with Ron. We've got world champion Pro Stock crew chief Dave Connolly coming up next. Dave going to talk about joining KB Racing. Matt Sackman, Ed Federkyle for you Competition Eliminator fans and fans who do not understand Competition Eliminator and do not know anything about Competition Eliminator. You're going to love it. Ed's a good personality, and more importantly, he's personal friend from local South Florida drag racing community, getting together with David Nickens to return to NHRA drag racing. It's really a great story. It's the kind of thing that hopefully the local papers down here will cover, because it is a great story. Right now, I want to tell you about another great story, Rodak'sCoffeeandGrills.com, Marvin Rodak. You want to hear the thing about Marvin? Marvin's a big fan of the sport, but he's also an incredibly knowledgeable person, has a pilot's license, a lot of great stuff, Renaissance character, and, worked in a repair shop, a restoration shop, and would drink the coffee, and the coffee would be terrible, and just like every drag racer, right? Like, how can I make this better? What can I do to make this better? Because I love coffee, but this is terrible. And so he got into educating himself about it and got into roasting it. And that was in 1976. It's now what is it? It's 2019. My goodness. And he has some of the best coffee in the world. Very rare coffees, very small batches. I know you're hearing all of these brands of coffee all around the world. Like, try this one, try that one, try this one, try that one. Rodax, coffeeandgrills.com. You can get there on the WFO Radio website. He makes drag racing themed blends. They've got the Costa Rica Black Honey, which is very rare. It's got great body, almond, milk, chocolate, raspberry, vanilla. Like, oh my goodness, it sounds fantastic. But it's the hot sauces and the spice rubs that are just awesome. I love the habanero endorphin booster hot sauce, and it's amazing. We got to try to get it on the hot ones. Wouldn't that be cool? Anybody know what I'm talking about? Oh, great show. Go to rodaxcoffeeandgrills.com or pick up the phone because he likes the deal old school style. 817-924-6821. Let me say it again slow, based in Fort Worth, Texas. You can also go there and buy a grill. For you people like the extreme custom grilling experience, head on over to the showroom and get a grill. 817-924-6821. I always listen to the radio, and they burn through the numbers so quick that nobody can ever get them. It's just not possible, especially when I want to call in and yell at the host, right? 817-924-6821, rodaxcoffeeandgrills.com. When we return, it's going to be Dave Connolly, world champion, pro stock crew chief, now working with KB Racing. They're going to be tough.
It ain't just wide open. It's WFO.
But right now I want to tell you about new sponsor, audible.com/WFO Nitro. Audible.com/WFO Nitro. And you might be thinking, well, what is Audible.com? And the fact is, listen, you guys are listeners. You listen like me. People who like to listen to something while they're driving, while they're on a plane. Maybe it's not music. Sometimes you want your brain to be activated in a different way. And that's where Audible.com/WFO Nitro comes in. It's anytime, anywhere listening. You can listen to your books wherever you are with their free app at home, in the car, at the gym. You can even switch devices and you'll never lose your place. They've got the biggest selection ever. No one's got more listens than Audible. You don't like one? No questions asked. Return it means exchange is easy. Go to audible.com/WFO Nitro. That is our own link specifically for you WFO radio listeners. Go on there, get your free trial, and try it out. Especially everybody that's in the NHRA that's traveling all over the place. Let's get an education together. Let's learn about stuff. And check out audible.com/WFO Nitro. And thank you very much to the folks at Audible for jumping on with our podcast.
Get fired up on the WFO line.
WFO, Joe.
954-889-6796.
It's been an absolute joy to be a drag racing fan.
Go wide open, and your call may be used on the show.
Or preface by saying I'm not a Kurt Busch fan or apologist. I don't know where Greg Anderson's ego has gone, but I know one person that's going to be a big-time villain in pro stock.
That's 954-889-6796. That phone line is always WFO.
Drag Racing Edge. That's the magazine. Subscribe online. Get the issues, $24.95. Keep up with your favorite sport, whether it be NHRA Mellow Yellow, Lucas Oil Series action. They cover drag radio. They cover it all. Drag Racing Edge magazine.
WFO Radio is brought to you in part by Extreme Velocity 3 Drag Racing. Download for your mobile device. Win your way on the show. WFO.
Now back to WFO Radio, NHRA Nitro.
Dave Connolly just seconds away. Right now I want to tell you about motorsportsguys.com. Very important that you know that this is Terry McMillan and the venture into mail order, which is a tough deal. But motorsportsguys.com have a great advantage in that you can get Amalie motor oil there. You can get large quantities, or you can get small quantities. You can get enough for your top fuel dragster, or you can get enough for your Toyota Camry. It's up to you. 70 weight, 2050, 1030, 520. They got the filters as well. And that's the whole point of the expansion of motorsportsguys.com. They got K&N filters. They got All-Star Performance. They got performance parts from Motor State Distributing and Lane Automotive, based in Elkhart, Indiana. I know the guys in the warehouse are listening to WFO. What's up, guys? Wolf's Head, lubricants, Molly, everything at motorsportsguys.com. And what I want the listeners to know is that Terry has stepped up to support WFO radio. So, you got to get an oil change from somewhere, right? You got to get parts, pieces. You're going to order a K&N filter from somewhere. Where's it going to be? Well, why not motorsportsguys.com? And the answer is you just got to be constantly reminded about motorsportsguys.com, that it's out there, that it exists. They've got the Pro Racing Oil with Molly that's used by Terry to avoid those drop cylinder moments. And I have no doubt that we have some Top Fuel racers out there. Perhaps they'll start using the Pro Racing Oil from Amalie. And I'm so excited about the Amalie Motor Oil NHRA Gator Nationals. And now Terry's going to have an in-house chassis? Or we got to follow up to see how the in-house chassis actually went. Terry is going to be on a show early on in the season because of the Gator Nationals, man. It's going to be mega. But go to motorsportsguys.com, check out the site, bookmark the site, go to the site, and next time you need something, oil, filters, parts, pieces, they even got some interesting stuff for like dirt late models. I was like, what is this? Like large sheets of like a thin material. What is this? Oh, the dirt late model guys love that. There's a lot of parts and pieces available at motorsportsguys.com. And a big thanks to Terry and Jim and the guys over there for supporting WFO Radio. Don't forget the Vegas Wind Tribute hat. I'm going to keep giving that promo code until all the hats are gone, right? Add it to your cart at checkout. Put in the promo code WFO, and the hat will be free. Why not get a free hat along with your next oil change at motorsportsguys.com? Bookmark it. Make it happen. Let's keep on trucking. Time to talk some pro stock. Joining us now, he is a world champion in the Mellow Yellow Pro Stock Eliminator. As a crew chief, he got the job done with Tanner Gray in 2018. But here in 2019, he's moving over to the arch rival KB Racing. It's very exciting for me. Been following this guy's whole career from early bracket racing to going on to win the U.S. Nationals, and now he is a world champion. Dave Connolly joins us now. Dave, welcome back to WFO. How are you?
Hey, Joe. Appreciate you having me.
I am thrilled. So this is a huge deal going over. First of all, winning the World Championship. Congratulations. This is the first time we've had you on since you were able to achieve that. That was a life goal for you, and you got it done. Yeah. How's it feel?
Pretty good. I ain't going to lie. It's I mean, as any drag racer, obviously winning the World Championships, top priority. And, we came close a lot of years and just never could close on the deal, but it just it all come together last year. Again, Tanner did a phenomenal job behind the wheel, and the whole team pulled together. We minimized mistakes through the countdown, and that's what happens when you're surrounded by a good group of guys. So it was definitely an awesome feeling, awesome year, and looking forward to trying to duplicate that again this year, just with some different folks surrounding me, obviously.
Absolutely. And I can't help but think about all the times we spoke with Tanner, and I spoke with you at the track, and you guys formulated a plan based on the previous year's near miss, or, I don't know how you guys considered it. I would never call it a failure, but you came close and didn't get it. But then created a plan. Learning experience?
learning experience. That's what we chalk it up to. No, in any bad situation, it's what you take from it, obviously. And it's years and years of bad experiences that get us to this point, unfortunately. But yeah, we made some mistakes, obviously. Tanner is a young driver, and I guess you could say I'm still fairly young as a crew chief. So, we just, we look back on mistakes that we made in 2017 and obviously tried to correct them as best as possible, and it worked out. That's all you can do is just in any experience, whether it's good or bad, it's what you take from it, and that was kind of our goal going into 2018. Is obviously just to be more prepared throughout the countdown and minimize mistakes, and that's what it takes.
And it worked out and won the championship. He was driving just unconsciously this final couple of races. Obviously, we wish him the best of luck over on the, roundy round side of the world, the NASCAR universe. And I hope he goes all the way, because it'll be fun to have somebody that, we know at the highest levels. But you are a drag racer, my friend. And so a world champion crew chief is all of a sudden up for grabs. Some of the teams out there, needed help. And, of course, KB Racing comes calling, and I think that is cool. What's it like to be on the other side of the fence now, working with a team that was one of the toughest teams to compete against?
Yeah, it's honestly, it's crazy. I mean, obviously, if you'd asked me, 15 years ago, there was no possible way this would ever have happened. But we've always had a huge mutual respect for each other, obviously, and it's they've expanded. Obviously, they're running multiple cars throughout the KB camp now, and it's just a lot of work. Obviously, I know the amount of work it takes to run one car. I can't imagine, trying to run 4 or 5 cars as they're doing, and it's just it was a huge plate load on Rob Downey and the rest of the guys, and obviously they needed an extra set of hands, and we worked out a deal. So it's been fun. It's a little bit crazy. I got to be honest. We finalized everything on Friday. It's been in the works for a little while, not going to lie, but so we had travel arrangements already set a few weeks ago. But I've never even stepped foot in one of their trailers until Sunday when I arrived here in Phoenix for testing. So a little out of place for sure, and but everyone's been very welcoming, and I think we're going to do some great things. It's just going to take some time to gel and figure out. There's many ways of cutting the cake, and we're working through some of that process right now.
See, that's what's interesting to me in that, first of all, tuning chassis in the zero margin that you guys have if you're going to be successful. Like, there's a lot of information there, and I'm sure, Greg and Jason and those guys have their way. Rob Downing has his way that they've done it. Clearly, it's a pattern for success, and your way might be totally different, and you're learning all that right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, everyone's got their little tweaks that they like to do, and final touches. But the biggest thing that I guess I could say is different is just the way the organizations run. I mean, me and Rob, we have a lot of similar thoughts, and some of the issues and problems that we see throughout a year, we've both encountered the same things, and so that's been pretty neat and pretty good to see that we're on the same page with a lot of our issues so far. But yes, again, back to just the way the organizations are ran different, and it's going to, again, take some time on my part to just get used to that, but it's been great so far, I'm not going to lie. I was fortunate enough to, Jason gave us a tour of the KB shop, some of the KB shop last year, and I got to see, after Charlotte, and they brought the cars back, and man, they had a lot of work. And that's one thing that I don't think that the fans understand. For so many years it was Greg and Jason, then it was Greg and Jason and Bo's car, and then Fernando comes on, and every time you add a car, the amount of work multiplies. Like, there's an exponential increase, and the guys that are over there, they were managing it, but it's probably a lot harder to be great when you increase the number of cars. And I'm guessing that's exactly why you're there. Absolutely. Yeah. You hit the nail on the head. It's, again, when you start spreading yourself too thin, areas are going to suffer, obviously. And, that's what we're trying to minimize this year, and just really put some focus back onto these cars. And, they, again, KB, those guys have always been workhorses. Like you said, I mean, their workload is always huge over there, but they're not afraid of it, and they definitely get the job done. So it's exciting. Again, there's definitely some things that are totally different, but again, that's what makes it exciting. You're exposed to a lot of different things, and that's all it really is. A lot of us crew chiefs, I mean, some of us are just very fortunate to get hooked up with the right group of folks, and you just get exposed to a lot of information, and it's what you do with that information that separates you from the others. Now, such great advice for all the people out there listening, young racers and people in the work environment. All right, so you're out there at testing right now as we speak, getting ready for a day of testing. What is your, I want to ask, what are you overseeing? How are you applying your knowledge? Are you just kind of overlooking everything that happens and adding your perspective, or are you hands-on? And if you are hands-on, what are you hands-on? Yeah, absolutely. I mean, as soon as we hang up, I'm crawling under the car and swinging links. So there's a lot of work to be done. But I'm just, we're kind of implementing some of my ideas with Rob's, and Rob's in there building shocks, and we're we're moving in a direction that we feel might be more racer friendly. So that's the goal right now. Again, when I worked with the Grays, obviously I kind of looked over everything from front bumper to back bumper, engine tune-up. So whether that's right or wrong, that's just how we did things over there. And I don't know if if you focus your attention more on one area, if you're better at it or not. So that's how they run things over here, is a little more, I guess you per se, divided in areas. But I'm just focusing on just kind of looking at everything and looking at the overall package and helping in any way I can, whether it be with, speaking with Jason on engine stuff or speaking with Rob on chassis stuff. So, again, I love all aspects of these race cars, and from the engines to the chassis to the shock setup and clutch wise and vice versa. So I think it's going to be a really good fit.
Yeah, except I can't help but remember that you are one of the best drivers out there on the property on any given weekend, and you've got this great skill for being a crew chief and a great passion for it. But the fact is that Dave Connolly is an ace out there at every moment. What about the new schedule, Dave? I understand there's 14 Pro Stockers or more testing out there. The cutting to 18 races, I know a lot of people were, concerned or maybe not for it. I know the KB guys who have Summit as a primary sponsor out there trying to encourage people to use Summit as their parts warehouse. We're not the biggest fans of it, but initially it seems like maybe it was a good thing with all these people like Jeff Isbell and others deciding to run full seasons because for whatever reason 18 is a lot more manageable than 24. What's your take?
I got mixed emotions on that, Joe. It's obviously from a corporate sponsor standpoint, you're taking away from their amount of exposure. So, again, that's where, obviously the KB team have an issue with that, and I don't blame them a bit. From the overall costs and stuff and things of that nature and just the people that are involved right now, obviously a lot of the racers out here are self-made. They have other businesses to attend to, so it does help in the matter of it's not such a grueling schedule. And, you got guys like Roger Brogdon and Jeff Isbell and a few of the others that you mentioned going to run the full season now. So it appears that it was the right decision. In my opinion, I think the whole NHRA schedule needs to be shortened, to be honest with you. I think the fuel guys would much rather run 18 than 24. Again, cost-wise to the parts is obviously going to go down tremendously. So maybe that's something they'll look at. I've always felt like the NHRA needs to shorten the weekend. I probably have a different outlook than most, but, I think it should be a 2-day event. I just feel like, today's world, kids like instant results, instant gratification. And if you qualify on Friday and, do a little pre-gaming on Saturday, just like any sporting event, tailgate, pre-event, pre-party, whether they have a concert, maybe do a little action on Saturday morning and then race Saturday nights. Obviously our sport with the flames that the fuel cars throw out there is definitely a sight to see on night sessions. So, again, these are just my opinions.
Of course, that's what I like.
NHRA is going to do the best that they can do, and everyone's got their own opinion. But that's things that I think would really help the sport. But fortunately, I'm not paid to worry about that at this point. I'm worried about looking at these race cars, so that's what I'm going to focus on from here on out.
No, absolutely. But I do appreciate you, giving me your take and your opinion, and that's what we got to do. We got to kick around ideas. And I mentioned Jeff Isbell. There's a Mustang out there now, finally. I think that's going to help. I know there's only one, but, the beginnings of the spark of a little Ford-Chevy rivalry maybe somewhere down the line, at least renewed a little bit. I think that can help the category.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, sitting here looking at, Alan Przensky's over there with the Dodge, and Jeff Isbell has the Mustang out there. And, we're catching a lot of grief because there's so many Camaros out here. But it does. You need that transparency and different branding out here, obviously. And I hope there's more of it, to be honest with you. I'd love to see a few more Mustangs or Dodges out here and battling away at it. So it's a good thing, I do believe, for for the class and for the sport across the board.
I agree. But let's not forget, though, you've got Top Fuel experience. You made some final rounds. You had some great opportunities there. You're, a U.S. Nationals winning Pro Stock racer. You've won in, 4 categories. Will there be an opportunity for you to get behind the wheel at any point of anything in the near future?
You never know. I mean, if they leave the keys on one of these things during testing, I might hop in there. But no, there's no plans of it. Obviously, I'd be lying. I've been very content in my role as a crew chief, and I love all aspects of it. Again, not lying, but I'd be lying if I said I didn't enjoy getting the opportunity to run that car last year at Brainerd. Granted, it was only a couple runs, but it was definitely fun to get back behind the wheel and go face to face with Tanner first round. So. These things are a blast to drive. I've always enjoyed it, but again, it takes a lot, and hats off to all these guys out here that have worked hard and putting together marketing partners to be able to come out here and race. So unfortunately, I don't have a marketing background. I'm more hands-on with the race cars, so I guess I've just learned to know my role.
No, listen, world champion crew chief, U.S. Nationals winner, Top Fuel finalist. That's a pretty good role. And, I've always had the most, greatest respect for your ability from bracket racing on up. And I think you are the epitome of what a drag racer is. And I wish you the best of luck. I think you're in a great spot. You've absolutely earned it. And just remember, every second that you're out there, that you are the world champ.
Well, I appreciate the kind words, Joe. And yeah, it's they can't take that from me last year, but again, that's can't live in the past. You got to keep moving forward and try to get another one.
I believe there's like a 1-year carryover. You can't live in the past, but you can definitely live in the last year. And you certainly
live in
will.
the moment.
Live in the moment. There you go. Hey, Dave, thank you very much for coming on WFO Radio. Congratulations, those KB guys. Great people, hard workers, best of the best, and you fit perfectly in with them. I wish you great luck. Have a great season.
Yes, they are. Thank you, Joe. Take care.
Thanks, Dave. Dave Connolly with us here on WFO Radio. Dave, from Florida. Bracket racer, big money bracket racer, sportsman racer, successful sportsman racer, pro stock racer, successful pro stock racer. Through, and as he said, the marketing side of it, he's more of a hands-on kind of guy. He's more of the driver crew chief type. The sport needs all kinds. Not everybody can be a marketing guy. So how does he contribute? He contributes by winning races and by helping other drivers win races, and has had an unbelievable career. In fact, if we're doing, I don't know, I'm just making this up, top 50 all-around talent, Connolly's definitely in there. Top 50 all-around talent. World champion crew chief, U.S. Nationals winning driver. Something like, 26 or 30 wins, 30 wins, 26 in pro stock, 4 in other categories. It's just amazing numbers by Dave Connolly. And the rivalry in pro stock is going to be really interesting because you got Elite in that bunch, Erica, Jeg, that whole team. And now you got KB, who go without saying, Rob Downing, Jason Line, Greg Anderson, Bo, and Dave Connolly. Say what? Going to be tough. Going to be very, very tough. And congratulations to Dave on that deal. I wish him well. Wish him well. We're going to see what happens. Very happy about pro stock, by the way. As you monitor the entry lists, you're seeing to yourself, the pro stock, okay, maybe 18 races is the move. 12 races in the countdown. Let's get after it. And, of course, the Mountain Motor Pro Stock are going to be at some of the races that regular Pro Stocks are not going to be at. So NHRA's got a good thing going. The tail end of the show, I want to talk to you about this NHRA TV thing. I'm going to, I don't want to scold anybody, but I'm just going to talk about, what I think it means. And, I'm going to be on it. And that's why I'm excited about it. I love reaching beyond the track. And we'll talk about that later on in the show. But right now I want to tell you about samtech.edu, the School of Automotive Machinists and Technology. Samtech.edu. Accelerate your career as a high-performance engine builder with classroom instruction and practical hands-on experience. Now, we're talking about people who want to do something other than push paper around. Machine, do, build, make, use your imagination to think and design, and then ultimately have it come out of you with your hands using the tools of the modern age, which are CNC machines and computers. And the folks at Samtech, they have the capability to teach you all of those things and put you on the right track. They're also the sponsor of the Samtech Factory Stock Showdown, which I am super excited. Begins at Gainesville. The 774 by Stephen Bell last week was just insanity. Aaron Stanfield was on the show. But a lot of people are rolling out with some big numbers, watching those cars down in the sevens. It's going to be awesome. Of course, a new, more efficient supercharger this year, if you're wondering why they're going so much quicker. The folks at Samtech have got great programs, including Motorsport EFI. They also offer an Associate of Applied Science degree. They're a military-friendly school approved to train veterans and other eligible persons under the GI Bill. Start your education at full speed. Go to samtech.edu today. And when you do it, I always tell you this, but it's so true. Let them know you heard about it on WFO. You just heard about it on WFO, and then you call and you're like, yeah, man, I want to go to Samtech. I'm ready to take the course. Here's my money. They're like, where did you hear about us? You're like, I don't know. Somewhere. Which is fine. It's fine. But it's better if you tell them. Samtech.edu. All right, when we come back, we're going to move into the Lucas Oil Series. Friend of show, Matt Sackman, going to join us when we return.
Everybody, listen carefully.
Now you listen to me. Why do you listen? WFO, you guys are number one.
Honest. Listen.
Frank Hawley's Drag Racing School. Whether you're a bracket racer who wants to get better or a thrill seeker looking to cross it off your bucket list, Frank Hawley's Drag Racing School can put you on the right track. Don't believe me? Tell him, Frank.
No matter how little or how much experience you have, we've got a program for you. So if driving a dragster is on your bucket list, there's no better time than now. And if you'd like to be a pro, well, here's funny car champ, Jack Beckman.
Hey, this is Jack Beckman. Long before I was Fast Jack, I was a bracket racer who went to the Frank Hawley School. The time I spent there was some of the most exciting, intense, and fulfilling moments ever in a race car. I feel the curriculum Frank developed greatly helped me win not only the Super Comp, but also the NHRA Nitro Funny Car Championship. Frank put me on the right track. What are you waiting for?
Call them at 866-480-7223. That's 866-480-7223. Or visit frankhawley.com.
Android and iPhone users, download the WFO Radio app. It's sports radio for racing fans.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
The ultimate racing show, including WFO Radio NHRA Nitro, WFO Radio Ignition, the WFO Radio NASCAR Tailgate Party, news, videos, push notifications, and more.
I just hope I'm part of it.
Go to the App Store or Android Market. Search WFO Radio and download it now.
Oh, the sound of a tiny kitten. How great is that? Maybe you should get one. But then, what are you going to do about the litter box? The only downside to having a cat. The litter box. Like, what are you going to do? What are you going to do with the litter box? And the answer is catspotlitter.com. The folks at CatSpot have developed something new. Their litter is made with one simple ingredient, and that's coconut. It has no harmful allergens, no chemicals for your feline friend or you, because you got to get in there. CatSpot is 100% all natural. It's both odor eliminating and hypoallergenic. It's made right here in America, and the best part about it is they support NHRA Mellow Yellow Drag Racing on the side of Scott Palmer's car, guys like Dom Lagana, guys like Joe Costello and WFO Radio. That guy is awful. CatSpotLitter.com. You got to check it out. New supporter of WFO Radio.
Now, back to WFO Radio, NHRA Nitro.
Oh, I love these preview shows, baby. The 59th Lucas Oil Winter Nationals, presented by ProtectTheHarvest.com. This weekend, the long shows. Why are they so long? Well, I want to create entertainment for you, the listening audience. There's always a debate. Too short, too long. What do we want to do? Listen, WFO, there's no time limit. And also, I am warming up the duration of my voice, like trying to build longevity and stamina with the voice. And the only way to do that is long shows, right? Long shows. Yeah, you didn't know that, right? Well, it is so true. We're going to have fun. It's going to be fun. We're going to miss Brian, but Brian's going to be better off for the sport where he is. And it's just an interesting situation, like the Fox Sports 1 broadcast. That's where the casual fan finds you. There are people that still channel surf, and they see, what are these cars? What are they doing? What's that bubble that comes out of the back? Oh, that's a parachute. Oh, really? Wow, these things are interesting. Girls and guys race together? Yeah. Oh, that's interesting. That's our lead generation mechanism. You get people to watch the show, and then they watch the show, and then they decide they want to come to a race. I got to go see that in person. How does a car go 330 miles per hour and 1,000 feet? That's just like 4 houses down the road. And that's what NHRA is all about. I think Brian is going to do a great job, and I think it is going to be, our presentation on NHRA.tv is going to change. But we are going to accelerate and have a good time. It's going to be fun. I'm going to try to focus on a lot of the stars and young stars in the Lucas Oil Series, like Matt Sackman, who's coming up. Thanks to the folks at Hangstefers. They established Hangstefers in 1937. Think about that, Dr. Hangstefer. And whatever your needs, they have the best available products to improve your metalworking processes. They've got over 100 affiliates throughout the world, a truly global network that's integrated with their research and development and manufacturing facilities to offer you the best available everything. Technical support, laboratory facilities, and local stock in your area. So if you're down there in Australia, if you're somewhere around the world, chances are there's a Hangstefers that is available to help you guys out. If you've got shops, you're doing a lot of metalworking, what is their goal? To help your efficiency. And who else uses Hangstefers? Well, DSR and JFR. And that tells you all you need to know. We know that some of our listeners, they're out there working in shops. They're working for larger factories. Some of the cooling fluids and cutting oils and all of that. Hangstefers might work well in your shop. What you need to do is go to hangstefers.com or reach out to them. 800-433-LUBE. 800-433-LUBE. Or hangstefers.com, and, of course, tell them you heard about it on WFO Radio. And they are big sponsors of the Sackman boys, Zach and Matt Sackman, who will be racing this weekend. And next up, NHRA Nitro before the 59th Lucas Oil Winter Nationals. I am super excited. Hopefully you're on your way there. You're going to be watching everything that is going down. If you're watching the top alcohol dragster category, we've got a friend of the show who will be racing this weekend. He joins us now, Matt Sackman. Matt, racer and crew member. You're doing a little double duty out there at Pomona.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a hectic weekend trying to balance working on Antron Brown's top fuel car and hustle into the lanes to drive Randy Meyer's top alcohol dragster.
But this is what you've worked for. I know, the Sackman family, you and your brother, racers, your mom and dad are there, like supporting everything that you're doing. And here we are, 2019. You're going to be working on Antron's top fuel car. Obviously, you're a champion doing that. And your driving career is evolving, starting off first race of the season. That's got to be a great feeling.
Oh, it definitely is. Very lucky to have the opportunity to do it, especially to race at Pomona, the Winter Nationals, the opening race for NHRA. It's one of the biggest races NHRA has all year. So just to be able to race there in a top alcohol dragster is a very awesome opportunity.
Now, to put this together, though, you had to be working on this for a while. And what I want my audience to know, because it's, Matt, it's easy to just kind of like accept things as they come. Like, this is an effort that you are working on constantly. So you got your day job, which is competing at the highest level in top fuel in the Mellow Yellow Series. And then you got your, some would call it your side hustle or whatever. You're trying to grow as a driver and hopefully one day, who knows, be racing against an Antron Brown. And that's got to take a lot of effort.
Definitely. Usually I have a busy year. I mean, I've raced 24 to 25 weekends with Antron throughout the year, and then I'll try to get in 10 races with my family. So I'm gone from home 35 weekends a year at a racetrack racing, which is awesome. I love it. It's nothing else I would rather be doing, but it definitely keeps me very busy and wears me out at times.
Well, you're only 25. You've got endless energy at this point. Your brother's 23, so you guys are at, some would say the peak of your life. I personally think it just gets better and better and better until, at one point it just ends. Whatever. But you're doing it. The folks at Hangstefers, they're stepping up with you and your brother for the whole season, right? Like, you're not going to race the whole season, but when you race, Hangstefers is on board with the Sackman boys.
That's correct. Yeah, they're coming back for a third full season with us, and we couldn't be more happy to have them on board. They're a family-owned company. They've been in business for 81 or 82 years, and Bill Jones, his mom, Ann Jones, she's the president of the company, and she's super nice lady, and just to have her support, it means a lot to our family. We started our partnership with them back in 2015, our first year running our top dragster, and we did one race with them in Maryland, and then the next year we did a couple of races with them, and then in 2017 they wanted to come on full board for the whole season, so we're pretty happy to just continue our partnership with them.
No, I think it's great, and I love the fact that they're supporting young racers. So let's talk about what's going on right now. Coming in off testing, what was that like? What went down, and how do you feel about where? Let's start off with the Mellow Yellow Series car. Like, how was the team working together? How did it go?
As far as us working together, we're working great together. Nothing really has changed there. So we all work pretty well together. Our test session wasn't our best test session, but we learned a lot, and hopefully we can apply that to what we learned apply it to Pomona and be better.
Yeah, the whole thing about testing, I hear these words a lot. Shake the rust off, right? And it's just like anything. If you're working out every week and then you don't work out for 6 weeks, the first time you go work out, it's going to be horrible. It's just going to be tough. And I don't think people appreciate how much there's physicality involved with what you guys do. Tearing them down, building them back up, lifting heavy things, diving under the car. You're moving your body in ways that you don't when you're at home. Can you explain that?
Yeah, definitely. The first couple test laps was pretty rusty. We were definitely shaking the rust off as far as crew guys go. It takes, after being off for 2.5 months, it takes you a couple laps to get back in the hang of figuring out how to do everything and be fast as you were when the season ended. Even when you go race to race, just the 4 or 5 days that you hadn't done it, the first lap is always just a little bit slower, and then as the weekend goes on, you get back to where you're at and fast, tearing the car down. I pull a cylinder head, so I'm picking up and setting down cylinder heads all day long. So we make 4 to 5 runs a day. It's pretty heavy stuff, and then changing motors, and motors 350 pounds. So 2 of us are picking that up. It's definitely a physical job, that's for sure. You got to be in somewhat good shape.
That is great. Now, how much is a cylinder head? Loaded up valves and everything that would be.
With a head.
Yeah.
With a header on it, I bet you dragster header, it's probably 60 pounds. It's not too heavy. It's just somewhat awkward to carry.
Well, not only that, though. If anyone goes into their local big box store and goes to the concrete section and finds a 50-pound bag of concrete and just picks it up and, all right, that's just a regular rectangle, let alone something that's also hot and uncomfortable. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. So that is kind of cool. So you got Mark, you got Mark, you got Brad. Their second year together. Everyone talks about how last year wasn't the best year, but you guys did get a win, get on the board. But I know Antron wants more here in 2019.
Yeah, we definitely all want more. The year definitely could have went worse. It didn't go as great as we wanted to, but it could always be worse. So Mark and Brad, they definitely learned a lot, and they're going to hopefully apply all that to this year, and we should have a better year, that's for sure.
Now, I like to think about, every person out there, myself included. You've got multiple things that you need to be focused on. It would be great to focus on only one thing, except you are trying to be successful. And so you have to make your Top Fuel car perfect as best as you possibly can, while at the same time, you're thinking about somewhere in there, you want to be a perfect driver. You've got to do a good job while you're driving Randy Meyer's car. You guys have got a top dragster. How do you capsulize? What do you do to keep the alcohol car or even the top dragster out of your mind while you're working on the fuel car, and vice versa? You don't want to be thinking about cylinder heads while you're sitting in the cockpit of Randy Meyer's top alcohol dragster trying to go rounds and show that you know how to do this.
Yeah, everything's happening so fast. So, really, you don't have a whole lot of time to be thinking about it. Like when you're bolting the cylinder head together, you're thinking about putting the head on the car and bolting it together, and then vice versa. When I get in a race car, you put the helmet on and you're going over. You're just like, I don't drive the alcohol car too often, so I'm just going through my head on everything I need to do in the procedure, burnout, we're putting in reverse, backing up, and staging for the run. It's everything's going on so fast. You don't have time to be thinking about building the cylinder head while you're in the cockpit, or while you're bolting the head on, thinking about driving the alcohol car. I mean, yeah, I mean, when we are servicing Antron's car in the pit, I usually do listen to the radio, listen to the sportsman racers and what's going on out there. But I mean, it doesn't distract me from doing my job. That's for sure. I think it's great that the folks at DSR are they let you do this. Like, you know what I mean? I think that to have one of the crew guys, a big part of the team, you've been there for a while now, going off and driving an alcohol car. I could see some other teams saying, no, man, we don't want you doing that. But I think that this is the strength of DSR. I think this is why they appreciate that everybody's got racing dreams and they're out there to chase them. And it's better that you have driver knowledge. It's going to help you be a better crew guy. Yeah, and Mike Lewis, the vice president of DSR, he's driven alcohol cars in the past. Yeah, I mean, definitely working on the car, I think, helps make you a better driver, and I think vice versa. I mean, definitely driving the car. I mean, when things happen out there, I mean, if something dumb happens out there, you can't expect Antron you can't be mad at him or anything, because I mean, everything happens so fast. So you have an understanding on both ends of what goes on. Yeah, without Hank Spurs and Gemini Farms and TMS Titanium support giving me the opportunity to do this, I mean, I couldn't do it without them. And then Mark Oswald. Everybody knows Mark Oswald, crew chief, and he used to be a big racer back in the day. And without his support and Brad Mason's support, I definitely wouldn't have. They could have just told me no, and they told me, yeah, go ahead and do it, and we'll cover for you in the pits. So also the 6 other guys on the team, I mean, they could have been mad and upset about it too, and they're not. They're supporting me. See, and allowing me to get out of the pit for a couple runs. That's great. That is so good. Is there a plan in place? Like, I hope you go rounds in both cars, obviously. It's a little different with the top alcohol car with elimination starting on Saturday. And, of course, you got to get qualified. But I have confidence in Randy Meyer and those guys. You get to work with, just the opportunity to learn, Matt. The opportunity to learn. You got Randy Meyer and his people over here. You got, obviously, Mark Oswald, Brad Mason, and the whole brain trust at DSR over there. You have such a great opportunity to learn so much right now. Yeah, I'm definitely in a great place. I mean, just to learn driver-wise, I can learn from Antron, learn from Mark Oswald. I mean, they're 2 of the greatest drivers ever. And then you go to the alcohol rinks, and Randy Meyer, he's one of the best drivers in alcohol ranks. I mean, or was. Now he's one of the best crew chiefs in the alcohol ranks. I mean, he's always given young drivers a good opportunity, a good car. So he taught me everything on how to drive the alcohol car, and definitely could have been a lot harder if he wasn't there to teach me what to do and all that. So I'm very fortunate to be in the position I am. Now, on the Randy Meyer Racing side of it, Julie Natus is going to drive Megan's car. You'll be in the other of the Randy Meyer cars. And I wonder, expectations, Matt. What are your expectations for yourself? Like, you're going to Auto Club Raceway for the start of the 2019 NHRA season. You get to race the first race. Who knows what everybody else is doing? Are they rusty? Are they ready? We just don't know. What are your expectations for yourself? What are your goals for yourself? What do you want to try to do with this opportunity at this one race? I definitely want to win the race. That's my goal. I wouldn't show up if it wasn't to win. So I expect myself to drive well. I know Randy Meyer's car is going to run well. And looking at the forecast, it's going to be cool there. We're at close to sea level, so I know it's going to be really fast. So I have no doubt that the car is going to run good. I just need to make sure I drive well. I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of you right now for answering that question correctly, Matt. Like, that's I want to call it a setup question, but you could have easily said, I just want to learn from the opportunity and make the most of it I can and take an opportunity to have this opportunity. And you said, I want to win the race. And that's exactly what I was wanting to hear. Yeah, I mean, anytime you show up at the racetrack, if you're not there to win, I don't know. I'm not here. I am here to have fun. Definitely here to enjoy myself. But I expect to win. My brother expects to win. Hank Spurs expects us to win, and we want to win. So that's why we're here, is to turn on win lights, and hopefully we could do that a little bit more in 2019. My brother Zach, he did pretty good last year. Turned on. He got 2 wins in the NHRA Division 3 level. So hopefully we can do a little bit more this year.
That is great. Now, what part of your schedule can you let us know about? I know that some of it comes together. Do you have it all planned out, like the races you're doing, or is it like Pomona and then we're going to work on the next one?
Yeah, as far as the alcohol car goes, yeah, it's just Pomona right now, and then hopefully we get another one in there, or maybe two. As far as the top dragster goes, no, we already have that schedule planned out. I think we're running about 18 races between, maybe 19 races between Zach and I. He's going to run the full 13 that he can claim, and I'm going to run whatever's left, I guess. Zach's going to start out in Pomona, and then he's going to run Phoenix. And then fortunately, we have my dad here, and he loves to race and he loves to drive, and he's going to drive everything from Phoenix to Tucson. I'm going to fly back, run the divisional, and then he's going to drive it all the way to Gainesville so we could race in Gainesville at the 50th Gators. So we're pretty lucky to have my dad.
Wow.
That's as crazy about racing as we are. So.
No, and obviously I've met your dad, and he is great. And you can see, I can see, the light in his eyes. He's so proud of his boys, the Sackman boys, and going out there. So why wouldn't he want to, do everything he can to go out there and make it possible? That having been said, when driving across Texas, I'm sure he's a little annoyed,
Oh, yeah, driving across 10 in Texas, you're down there for 900 miles. I mean, yeah, he enjoys driving, but he's pretty crazy to enjoy it that much.
There you go. Hey, Matt, congratulations, on the opportunity. And, of course, we want you to go out there and do as well as possible. Go out there and get them. Thanks for coming on WFO Radio. Hanks to Furs for stepping up, and your sponsors. And if they happen to be listening, this is exactly what people with companies who are successful need to do. Support the dreams of young people, help them get a foothold in this sport. And, look what you got here with Matt Sackman. How cool. Matt, great job. See you this weekend.
Yeah, thanks, Joe. We'll see you this weekend, and hopefully we're talking to you in the winner's circle with one of the three chances I have, or we have. So, we'll see you out there this weekend.
Sounds great. Thanks, Matt.
All right, thanks for having me. Take care.
Matt Sackman with us here on WFO Radio, and just great. That's the best part of the sport, honestly. This particular show has kind of run the gamut of, you have Tony Schumacher, the GOAT, the greatest of all time, 83 wins, 8 championships, 10 indies, and he starts us off. And you got Ron Capps, known entities in the sport. But then, Dave Connolly, a sportsman racer who made it big in pro stock. And then Matt Sackman, a crew member, a champion crew member. Everybody is a champion so far. Our next guest wants to be a champion and is a South Florida local that I have known for pretty much my whole racing career. He's going to be back behind the wheel of a competition eliminator car beginning this weekend and going for a championship. And I wanted to introduce you to him. Ed Federkyle will be up next. But thanks to Matt for coming on the show, and, become a fan of that guy. Follow the Sackman boys on, Facebook, Twitter, wherever they are, and follow them in their career. And go see them and check out Hanks to Furs and support them, because they are, they're the next wave, right? You got a Matt Sackman, you got a Krista Baldwin, you got a Jordan Vandergriff, you got an Austin Prock. I'm just doing a couple of examples. Young racers that are fighting and clawing their way into the sport. And that's what I like. I want to help any way I can. And so you WFO Radio listeners, follow these guys. Check it out. Check it out. All right, Ed Federkyle coming up next. But right now, I want to tell you about the Southeastern Division results. The first official NHRA winners of the 2019 season. They were in action at Orlando Speed World Dragway in Division 2, the Southeastern Division. Competition eliminator. Scott Benham out of Magnolia, Texas, in his C Super Modified took down Jenny Treadwell. Jenny in her G Econo Dragster. Scott ran 8:29 with a 2 to take the win in Comp Eliminator. In Super Stock, it was Marion Stevenson's GTH Automatic, ran 10:72, takes down Joel Warren out of Clinton, North Carolina. Warren Racing Engines, 98 Firebird. Red light start, saw Joel post about it on Facebook. Wasn't happy, but a runner-up finish, not bad at the first race of the year. Stock Eliminator, Jeff Harrington out of Kathleen, Georgia. 2014 Ford Mustang Factory Stock E-Car 1002 beats Darren Poole Adams 2018 Factory Stock Camaro. So you got modern muscle in the final round of Stock Eliminator out there at the first race of the Southeastern Division. Super Comp, Brian Guthrie, in his brand new 2019, still has the new car smell, Miller Dragster, taking down Scott Mackey in 893 with a 4, beats an 893 with an 8. The results I have do not show reaction times. The winner, baby, that's what matters. Super Gas, John LaBoost Jr., Boost taking the win. 996 beats Tony Thompson out of Naples, Florida. The Thompson family, big out there in Naples, goes 993.8. A 996.2 beats a 993.8. You don't need to know the reaction times to know what happened right there. Boost gets the win in Super Gas. Super Street, Robbie Welch, 66 Fairlane, 1093.9 at 128. Beats Kenny Dickerson's 95 Achieva, 1094.1 at 124. And I just think about that. And what is my Pontiac Trans Am 1978 edition with a 455 run miles per hour? It runs like 131.5. So a 1028.92 seems like about what my car would run in Super Street. And this particular event, the first race out at Orlando Speed World for Division 2, is the one that I've got my eye on at some point in the future for running Super Street at an NHRA divisional event. Like, that's something I could see myself doing, and I want to do, and I'm working towards it. And some people behind the scenes have been, like, helping and guiding. It's just about time, and I've run out of time. What are you going to do? Top Sportsman, Sandflea, Sandy Wilkins out of North Carolina. 69 Camaro goes, ooh, spooky. 666 with a 6. Takes down Dylan Stott. Dylan in that brand new Jerry Haas 2018 Mustang. The thing is just gorgeous. 658 with an 8 at 208. Loses to Sandflea. Not the first, won't be the last. Sandy Wilkins, very tough racer. Top Dragster, Maverick Palmatier out of DeLand. Palmatier, right? Palmatier. Palmatier. But his first name is Maverick, so it doesn't even matter what his last name is. He's out of the land. 731 with a 7. Beats Les Feist's 617. 731 beats 617. Les Feist coming up 227 miles an hour behind 174 miles per hour. Do the math, just over 50 miles per hour in intermediate junior dragster. Think about that. Wyatt Palmatier out of the land goes 892, takes down Alyssa Rabin. And those are your results for the Division 2 race out there at Orlando Speed World Dragway. The first official winners of the 2019 NHRA Lucas Oil Series season. This weekend, we'll crown some others. This weekend, February 1st, where's everybody racing, right? Got to be Florida. And Rich Schaefer was on a couple weeks ago, told you all about the Baby Gators, so you can be ready. All right, when we come back, we're going to hear from Fast Eddie Federkyle. And we're going to talk about a lot of different things. Fast Eddie has put together a program. He is a firefighter and a business owner and a successful guy. One of my first sponsors on the radio with his California Custom Sports Trucks business. And he was a supporter, and he's just a known commodity in our area, was one of our first local racers to go out on the tour and try to compete at the NHRA level, realizing and recognizing that NHRA is where the action was, and went out and ran Super Gas in the 90s and won a race and finished top 5 in the world, and then went back and did his business, and now there's been a calling. And I think you're going to think it's pretty cool. Ed Federkyle coming up. But right now I want to tell you about audible.com/WFO Nitro. Yeah, the audible.com, folks. 30-day free trial, WFO Nitro. Get on it. All kinds of different titles that are available to you. You're a podcast listener, so you're probably looking to listen to all kinds of other stuff. Go to audible.com/WFO Nitro to start your 30-day free trial. We'll be back with Ed Federkyle after this.
This is WFO Radio.
Hey, WFO Radio listeners, if you're in the northern part of the country, I know you're freezing right now. You know what would be great? A hot cup of Rodax coffee. Maybe a little hot sauce, a little spice rub for that food you're cooking in the oven. Check out RodaxCoffeeandGrills.com. They've got over 40 single original coffees to choose from, plus custom blends like Bang the Blower and WFO Radio. Their coffee represents the top 5% of coffee grown throughout the world, and it's all roasted fresh per order. They've got limited edition, seasonal, and rare micro lots. They've got exotics. Go to RodaxCoffeeandGrills.com or just pick up the phone. 817-924-6821. Keep your ear out for those WFO holiday packs. Depends on the holiday what the deal is, but Marvin is wheeling and he is dealing. 817-924-6821 for Rodax Coffee and Grills.com.
Hey, WFO Universe. Want something for free? Send a self-addressed stamped envelope with plenty of postage, and we'll load it up with free WFO stickers. That's right, I said free. Send your envelope, care of Castello Media /WFO stickers to P.O. Box 848353, Pembroke Pines, Florida 33084. Do it now.
Hey, racers and race fans, I want to tell you about the motorsports guys. Terry McMillan from Elkhart, Indiana, has got a new venture, and we want you to hit the website. They've got all kinds of great new parts, pieces, filters, oils on there, including Amelie's new Pro Racing 70 oil with Molly. It's used by many professional drag racers, including Terry McMillan, for larger turning curves and avoiding those drop cylinder moments. It saves bearings and crankshafts and provides more compression with better ring seal and less fuel in your oil. You can get it at motorsportsguys.com. We'll carry Amelie, they carry Wolf's Head Oil and Lubricants, Molly Filters, K&N Filters, All-Star Performance Racing, and high-performance parts from Motor State Distributing and Lane Automotive. It's going to be a one-stop shop. They're going to have it all. But most importantly, oil, Amelie, better than it has to be since 1903, available at motorsportsguys.com. Check it out. Bookmark it, motorsportsguys.com. Terry McMillan stepping up as a supporter of WFO Radio. Check him out, motorsportsguys.com.
This is Sean from Traverse City, Michigan. You ever get done with an episode of Ignition or Nitro and say, man, that's a good job. I'd like to give them a pat on the back and a cold beer. Well, with Patreon, you can. So send that drink down to Gio and Joe.
Now, back to WFO Radio, NHRA Nitro.
Final segment, WFO Podcast, NHRA Nitro. Boy, you could have driven from Vegas to Pomona, and I think this show would have gotten you there. Tony Schumacher with big news at the start of the show, Caps, Deep Dive, Connolly from the test, Matt Sackman, and now we're going to delve into Competition Eliminator, and then after Ed, it'll be my time. But right now, I want to get to a friend of mine. Joining us now, he'll be running Competition Eliminator at the Lucas Oil Winter Nationals, but he'll also be chasing the World Championship points. He's a friend of mine. He's from my part of town here in sunny South Florida, and you're going to see him out there when Comp rolls to the starting line. Ed Fetterkyle. We call him Fast Eddie, though. Ed, welcome to WFO Radio for the first time. How are you?
I'm great, Joe, and I'm glad to be here.
I am excited to have you on, and what has been very cool, and I want to share with the audience, is that this has been a project that has been years in the making. You ran Super Gas years ago. You were a bracket racer at Miami Hollywood Speedway. We had the same chassis builder for a little while, and now you're going out there to run Competition Eliminator. Let's start at the beginning, Ed. How'd you get all involved, and why did you want to go out on the NHRA national event scene the first time around, and when was that?
Well, that was back in the early 90s, and, we bracket raced together, and, I decided I wanted to go to a more competitive platform, and where else but the NHRA, and, we started out in Super Gas, and we ran some local events, and we went on the road and, finished number 4 in the world in 1991, progressed, through winning some national events, some divisional races in that category, and actually moved into Comp Eliminator back in 1994 and drove for a guy out of Houston, Texas, and I started building my own comp car, couldn't get it done, and, ended up doing some other things in racing before I kind of hung it up about 25 years ago.
And are a firefighter and a business person and all of that, but now something has lit the fire within you once again to, let's call it start from scratch, right? You had to go out and buy and get and acquire everything. We'll talk about what it is soon, but what lit that fire? What made you decide to go after it again?
Well, when I hung it up, it wasn't by choice. It was a business decision. I'm a professional firefighter. I owned a very successful business, and, I needed to focus on that because that was going to be the future, my pension, my business. And it was unfinished business. And I woke up one day and I was actually watching a television show called, I can't remember the name of it, though. It was on the NFL Network, and they were interviewing Dan Marino, who's one of our local favorite sons here in South Florida. And they talked to Dan, and Dan said, hey, I set records, I did this, I did that, but I never walked off the field as a champion. And I says, man, I know what that guy feels like, because I never got to win the championship. And I says, Dan Marino will never play football again, but I can still drive a race car. And that's kind of what started it. And like any other thing that I do, once I decide I'm going to do it, I follow through with it. And we started, putting together a brain trust of people that could help me, and we acquired the assets, and we set out a plan. Last year was to make a half a dozen races or so and get our feet wet and be ready this year to go out and pursue a championship.
You did that, and I think you did very well. It was great to see you out at the tracks, both on the marketing side and on the track. Here we are. We're starting off fresh. You'll be running the Winter Nationals. Why did you want to start off at the Winners when you could have, you're going to run for national championship points, world points. You could start in a couple different places. Why was the Winter Nationals where you wanted to debut?
Well, that's where it all starts, Joe. And to pursue the championship, you have to race from coast to coast. And I made a conscious effort to kind of lay out what a plan is, and there's strategy involved, of course, and everything. And when I spoke with, my crew chief, and we made some decisions, and it was basically head west, young man, and that's what we've done. And we're going to start out west and work our way back to Florida for the Gator Nationals.
All right, let's talk about the brain trust and the equipment. Competition Eliminator is one of the categories that I think is, you got to be a hardcore fan. Casual fans come to see John Force. They come to see Antron Brown. But then they realize, oh, my goodness, there are these cars that are so amazing. There's all these different combinations, running against indexes, no breakout. The people who love comp. And if you are a Chrysler fan, folks, Ed Federkyle is for you. Ed, tell them what you're racing and who's working with you.
Well, the car that we acquired is a Jerry Haas Dodge Avenger that was formerly Chris McGahe's Pro Stock car. The engines are 500-inch Hemis, just like that ran in the Pro Stock cars, with the exception that it runs dual carburetors and not fuel injection. So the car is essentially a Pro Stock car with carburetors and a 3-speed automatic. David Nickens handles the engine preparation and the tuning calls. Mike Sullivan of the Wayne County Speed Shop fame is helping us with some consulting on some tuning calls. And, we feel we got the best chassis out there. We got a guy that a lot of people don't know this, Joe, but we know who the winningest comp eliminator driver is in NHRA history, and that's David Rampy.
Right.
Number 2 is David Nickens, who's our crew chief. And he hasn't made a pass in a comp car in over 25 years, and his record of 29 NHRA national events still stands today. So I know I put together the best of the best to have a legitimate shot to be competitive. And I think at the end of the year we showed that. We got up on the top of the board out in Vegas, and we found some horsepower over the winter, and pretty excited about getting out there and making some hits.
Now, locally, Ed's nickname, we call him Fast Eddie, because he's fast on the racetrack, but he is also extremely business savvy and able to bring the deals. This is something that just for so many years, you were even in Supergas, Ed, and recently you shared some old NHRA Today footage with me via instant messenger on Facebook, so I wasn't really able to get it up on our page, but that was your story back then. You were able to bring deals into Supergas, which was cool. So last year, we're at the U.S. Nationals. We're starving, and you're able to bring us up a whole bunch of like jerky and camping products from a deal you had put together. And here in 2019, you're able to expand upon that, bringing on Fire Aid. Tell us about that.
Well, Fire Aid's obviously been involved in multiple different forms of motorsports, and we're out there looking for the right partner. It's sponsorship's a bad word in motorsports. I mean, you sponsor Little League baseball teams. Strategic partnerships bring a return on investment for all parties involved, and that's why Fire Aid was a natural, because with my 33 years of firefighting experience, 30 of them in hazardous materials response, both of us felt there's a lot to benefit from both sides. One, with my relationships in fire service. Two, also my professional relationships in the automotive field to help bring some business to them. And that's how we got on the discussion and came to terms. And, we way behind the 8 ball. The car won't be wrapped for Pomona. And Joe, not to disappoint you, looks like Field Trip will be on as an associate, and we will have some snacks for you guys out in Pomona.
Wow, that is fantastic. They say heavy protein, and I know you're a big keto guy. You're in on the keto, so that's okay.
Well, I wanted to be able to get in and out of the car without taking the steering wheel off, and it's not really a diet, it's a lifestyle, kind of fit the bill. We lost 28 pounds. I can put the weight in the car where I need it now, and it's a good feeling.
So that is the point, though, and I think it is very I want to make this point in that you are going to do this. Yes, it's going to be fun, but you are altering your lifestyle to do whatever it takes to be as competitive as possible. Yes, of course, you got 0 points as does everybody else, and you would love to end this season a champion in a way that Dan Marino was never able to do. Very sad about that. But you are not just talking the talk here. You are doing whatever it takes, including changing your diet.
Well, it's not only the diet. It's a physical fitment regimen. It's practicing on the practice tree. And, I tell people, I go, why do you get up at 4:30 in the morning and train? Why do you spend X amount of hours on the practice tree? And the answer is very simple. If you want to be a champion, you got to train like a champion. And I don't care if it's football, hockey, or drag racing. It takes preparation, because the separation is in the preparation. So those who prepare can be more successful than those that don't.
I love that. I love the little, rhyme alliteration. Keeps us up. Now, okay, guys like Frank Aragona, David Rampy, these guys are killers. Ed, they're killers. Comp Eliminator is full of them. That's why everybody that loves the category loves the category. Is it right to say shook off the rust last year? Where do you feel you are in your, arc of return here?
I'm ready to go out and win races and ultimately go out and win a championship. And if I didn't feel that way, and if I didn't believe I could do it, I shouldn't even, get out of bed and try.
Fantastic. Ed, I've been dying to do this interview since I found out that you bought the car. The timing is right. We're headed to Pomona, Lucas Oil Winter Nationals 2019, getting ready to get started. Fired up. NHRA just announced NHRA TV partnering with Sony to bring what was once NHRA All Access to more people through native apps like Apple TV. A lot of good stuff going on in the sport of NHRA drag racing. I think we need more characters in more categories, and so something new in Comp Eliminator. Now, let me ask you, why Comp? A lot of people like to go into, Top Sportsman or here or there. You are picking Comp. Is it because you have David Nickens on your side?
Well, there's no category in NHRA drag racing that's easy. I mean, it's a great feeling. Columbus of 92, I had to outlast 130 cars in Supergas to win a national event. But Comp, even though the car count is lower, there's still a degree of difficulty because it is ultra competitive, and it is a lot of money it takes to be fast and be consistent, but you still got to drive the car. And the technical side of it, granted, having the talented people that I have helping me did make the decision kind of easy, but I always, it's the closest thing to pro stock that you're going to see, okay? Just from a lot of different aspects. One, how hard you have to work on the car, how much time you have to involve to test, to be good, the things you have to try, all of these things. So, I hate to say I don't want anything that's easy. If I'm going to do something, I want it to have a high degree of difficulty. And I think anybody that runs comp or knows about comp or has ran comp will agree with me that it's a commitment, and we've made the commitment. And with the help of Fire Aid, and there's a lot more to it than that. I mean, that company has a very important charitable foundation that I have fallen in love with, and that's the Ronnie Thames Foundation. And I'm sure you've seen it on some of the Fire Aid cars. And what this does, it helps us go out there and prevent pediatric burns. And I've seen it, Joe, firsthand in my career. Probably one of the hardest, most painful things to see in my fire services is kids. And when they're hurt and they're burned, it's a very painful thing. And what Mr. Thames and his wife Teresa have done is they have created this foundation that through education and awareness is going to help kids not get burned. And they've taken it a step further for those that are so unfortunate to experience the burns and their families and the pain that they suffer. He is building living facilities for the families of long-term pediatric burn patients, so the family can be close to the kids in the Shriners hospitals around the country. And it's almost like this racing thing is great, and we want to do a good job for Fire Aid. We want to help them sell a lot of product, but we also want to help them help those kids. And it's a higher calling, and we've embraced it, and we're looking forward to it. And when we're out on the road, we're going to stop at these hospitals with the race car, and if we can make a child's day a little bit brighter by us just stopping by, that's what we're going to do this year.
Oh, that is great, and I appreciate you going into that. Ed, I wish you the best of luck. Listen, I got to ask you one more question, though, and this is totally, I'm doing like a hard right on you, but this is a perfect opportunity because you and I know Ernie, who built my race car, had done some chassis work on you before you went out to the super gas world, but someone else from the South Florida community that we both have in common that I want to mention because we both have in common is Greg Kramer. Greg Kramer Racing Engines. You worked in a shop for many years, and I'm sure learned a lot. Greg Kramer, my real racing accolade, winning a track championship and Super Pro at Moroso Motorsports Park. It wouldn't have happened had he not stayed up really late to 4 a.m. Helping me get my engine back together. His son Corey, of course, a great friend of both of ours, and I just wanted to know, Greg Kramer, where does he fit in on all of this? The person you are now, the racer you are now, and the time you spent in his shop here in South Florida. I'm always trying to really let the world know that we've got a great community of racers down here. Years ago, we lost our track, but the passion was here. Greg, obviously, may he rest in peace, but what role did he play in your life and career in drag racing to this point?
Well, when I went to work for Greg, I've always wanted to do something at a higher level in drag racing. I drove that 67 Nova down Hollywood Boulevard many times and had to stop at, Flamingo Road so it would cool down enough so I could make it to the track. And, you know how our schedule is at the fire department. You're on 24, off 48. So during that 48 off, I worked for Greg, and he was doing engines for offshore race boats. And, Greg kind of catapulted me into business. Greg kind of molded me into the businessman indirectly because, I wanted to machine parts. I wanted to assemble engines. I wanted to run the dyno. But Greg needed someone to run the front, and he kind of forced me into that role. And that's what kind of really put me in a spot where I could run a business. And, we worked on my engines in the shop, and he gave me parts for that. And just like he did with you, Joe, we worked many late nights. And, I shared meals with that guy 4 or 5 a week when we would get done at the shop. And, I love the guy emphatically, and I wish he was here to see it. And I remember when I won the first national event that I did in 91, and I called him and told him about it, and, he made a lot of the parts for that race car. Ernie did the back half, and, we did some stuff on the front together, and, I wish he was here to see it, but, he was a true automotive genius. And that's the funny part, is that he was a great machinist. He was a great engine builder. He was a great engineer, but he wanted me to do the business part. And if he may not have done that, I may not be where I am today in business, and I certainly wouldn't be where I am in drag racing because, he gave me the tools to do it. And again, may he rest in peace. And his son Corey, I still, keep in touch with him every now and again through Facebook and whatever. And I miss him. I miss him a lot.
Yeah, absolutely, totally agree. The funny thing about my story is, in the middle of a points fight, had a problem, spun a bearing, something like that. He says, "Bring it over," tears it apart, stays up late. Like, we rolled out of there at 4 a.m. to go put it in the car, thrashed, headed to the track, and it rained out. Can you believe it? But whatever.
Oh, I believe it. And, it's funny. We talk about, like, what you do, with Greg, and, David shares a lot of the same qualities. I mean, his resume speaks for itself. A former world champion. He's powered multiple world champions, with his engine programs. And, like you said, it was funny. We were getting ready to go to Dallas last year and spun the motor over, and there was no compression. And he thought maybe the cam backed off. We bent some valves and ended up sticking all the rings. Well, we're sitting there in the shop needing to leave in about 12 hours. Well, before you knew it, the motor's out of the car, the motor's apart, rings are freed up, motor's back together, and the truck's on the road northbound on 45 to Dallas. And that's a real racer. And that's one of the neat parts about working with David, too, is that he gets it, and he's done so much for me. I couldn't do what I'm doing right now without his help. And, he's probably, very underappreciated by a lot. And, I can't tell you how much I appreciate what he does for me. And to have Mike Sullivan to be able to pick up the phone, send him a run, and have him look at it. I mean, people laugh, they joke, because pretty much everybody on my operation is over 50, some over 60, some 70 plus. So, we're not the over-the-hill gang. We're a group of guys that, have a mission, have a goal, and I'm going to try to do my part. That's why I do what I do, why I get up early, why I train on the practice tree, because I need to do my part, because that's what I can control, and that's what happens inside the race car.
Now, I can imagine that you carry that with you everywhere. I don't like to talk about pressure because pressure is something that, we put on ourselves. But in this case, I would imagine you are putting a lot on yourself with all these people, taking stock in you and going out to do things they haven't done in years with you so that you can go out there and chase this championship. And that's why I wanted to have you on before your first race. Ed, thank you for coming on WFO Radio Podcast. I appreciate it. We love comp. I'm going to be watching. A lot of sharks out there, but you're a shark too. So good luck. Go get them.
Hey, Joe, appreciate being on. Let's do this in November next year.
Yeah, there you
or
go.
At the end of this year.
There you go. I like where your head's at. Ed, thank you very much. Good luck, and I'll see you in a few days.
All right, Joe. Take care.
Fast Eddie Federkyle with us here on WFO Radio. Now, he doesn't write Fast Eddie. That's not his nickname. Greg Kramer gave that nickname to Ed. At least that's how I had always heard him referred. And it works for me. But what a team, right? Think about it. The business during the week, and the Facebook page is California Custom Sport Trucks, by the way. I wanted to ask him about his social in case you guys want to follow along. I think it's a cool story. Not only is it coming out of South Florida, which is local to the WFO radio studios, I used to get excited. We had the Gwynn family down here, and there were people, they had racing operations. They'd go up and run the Gator Nationals. My great friend Jeremy Preston went up and ran the Gator Nationals and won the Gator Nationals in Super Gas. And to me, that's a tell how many NHRA racers you have in your area. It's just a different thing. Now, I know there's racers all over the place, and they run all kinds of different series, and there's all kinds of great series and great racers regardless of what they do. But I'm an NHRA guy. I always have been. I consider it the major leagues. The day that they blow me out and say, don't come back here anymore, I'm still going to think it's the major leagues of drag racing. And it just is what it is. Maybe then I'll get an opportunity to race some every now and again. Yeah, my own racing operation is like inching along. Last year and the year before, you've been following along. Certainly, I talk about it a lot more on Patreon and on Ignition, where the people really care more about what I'm doing than here on NHRA Nitro, which is not really about me. It's about drag racing and about the stars of the sport and the future stars of the sport. Or a guy like Ed, who's, let's face it, he's an older guy. He's not old, but he's older. But he has gotten to a point in his life where he can, what did he say? He can do that. I'm going to do it. Dan Marino can't throw the ball anymore, but I can still race. I love that, and it's so true. And that is about our sport. That is a unique aspect about what we do. I wrote my National Dragster column last year and had a lot of people come up to me, older guys, of course, and appreciate it. Like, I'm not a writer, guys. I'm a talker, but I'm working on it, and it's been turning out pretty good. And I will be back with some columns in this year's NHRA National Dragster. How many? Please stand by. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right. Going wide open with Joe Costello will be an NHRA National Dragster 5 times in 2019. What the heck am I going to talk about? I don't know. But last year, this is the sport where somebody can put aside their hopes and dreams until they make themselves successful and then go back and do it and go after something like a world championship. And that's what Ed's going to do. And I admire it, and I think it's great. And the guy's got talent and ability, and we're going to find out, right? Because Rampy's waiting, and Frank Aragona is waiting, and countless others are out there waiting to go out there and try to win those Wallies as well. And if you're a Dodge guy, go follow it. It's basically a Dodge Pro Stocker with an automatic transmission. Pretty cool, pretty cool. Thanks to Ed Federkyle. All right, wanted to talk a little bit about some things. First of all, my own racing aspirations. Here's where we are. Get you all up to speed since, we're at the end of the show. Ignition was really great. We talked my iguana battling story, which is real, by the way. Imagine your neighbor shows up on your door and tells you some wild animal is inside her house and is totally breaking down, and you've got to go get it out. And it's a reptile, and it's crazy, and it's big, and it's got spikes and salmonella. Right? Salmonella. That's what happened to me. It's a real story. Listen to Ignition. 2, Formula One rules changes went down. 3, NASCAR, new deal. If you are illegal and post-race, you lose the win. That's new rules. 4, Super Bowls, commercials. It was great. Just get on it. Ignition. Chasing a hum around in the studio, but whatever. That is a deal. My own racing deal, we flashed our torque converter. It went to 4,900 RPMs, and so that tells me all I need to know. I got a problem with my torque converter, and I got to swap it out. When am I going to do that? That is the challenge. And once I do it, when am I going to run it to make sure that it is absolutely correct? That is also the challenge, but I'm on the case. But really, at the tail end of the show, in my time, brought to you by Patreon, I want to tell you how excited I am about NHRA.TV. Yes. Look, I posted it on my personal Facebook page and Twitter, and it's great news. Why? Well, this is number one, where I do my broadcasting to the people who are the most diehard, the people who are willing to spend the money. It's $120 a year, okay? And I saw some people complaining about the price. And, well, you know what, Major League Baseball is only this much, and you get this many games, and everybody's like, weighing it out. And then Danny Nelson goes on there, and he's like, how many times? Who was it, Danny Wilson? No, it was Scott Hall. Real racers, man, going on there and saying, standing up for it. It's $5 a race. I can go into my couch right now and find $5 to watch 3 days of NHRA, Mellow Yellow, and Lucas Oil drag racing. Number one, it's like a Rorschach test to decide the kind of world outlook you have. Simple as that. The NHRA.TV, NHRA All Access, everything. Do you want to look at it as the glass is half full? It wasn't that long ago I couldn't see anything, and I didn't know anything, and I had to go read all about it like a day later after it was all over. Or now I can watch Stock Eliminator. Does it always work? No. Does it work? I'm going to come up with a crazy number. Does it work 75% of the time? Absolutely. Does it work 80% of the time? I would say absolutely. Does it work 95% of the time? I don't know about that. The internet, folks, between the track and you, a lot can happen. It's a miracle that any of this stuff happens. And so with the Rorschach test, I post up, hey, NHRA, it's going to be great. Isn't this nice? And everyone's like, bleh. it's too expensive and it didn't work and blah, blah, blah. Meanwhile, the theme of the story, what's the theme of the story? The theme is the story that NHRA has made a change to make it better. And so it's a little unfortunate. I was super stoked to see the racers jump on there and support it. No, this is good. This is vital. This is something we like. This is something we do. Danny Nelson goes back and rewinds so he can hear what the announcers say about him. Hey, they talked about me. I'll know that for the future. And so NHRA is partnering with Sony, a cloud-based blah, 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 Roku, blah, blah, blah. I can tell you that I bought the Roku stick. I like the fact. It's like, there's Amazon Fire Stick, and there's Apple TV, and there's this, and there's that, and there's all of these things, okay? Roku is the one that has a dedicated app, which comes with a remote control. So you don't really have to run your computer up to your HDMI on your big TV and use your computer as the brain. The Roku works as the brain. Now, my dad had Roku going all last year. And Roku is not a sponsor, although they should be. And there were some times where the computer was working and the Roku wasn't. And there were other times where the Roku was working and the computer wasn't. And that's what I'm telling you. This is tech, man. When you go to turn on your computer tomorrow, it might not turn on. Why? Because it is tech. And nothing in the tech world is 100%. Your internet connection might not be working tomorrow. And half the time, maybe it was your internet connection. And maybe half of the time, it was our internet connection. Or maybe the other half of the time, and I know that's 3 halves, it had something to do with the location of the track or the service between the two. But for people to get all like angry and bitter bleh, at the announcement of something that's new and better, it's a Rorschach test. It's a test. It's a personality test. Like, what kind of person are you? What kind of person are you? Read the story. Well, it's horrible, and they need to give me my money back because in the past there was a time. Uh-huh. And then there's someone, wow, that's great. Sony, it's going to get better. It was already something good. I got to watch Stock Eliminator, and now I get to watch more. Rorschach test. Now, okay. So that means there's going to be a couple of different groups of people, right? There's going to be the Pollyanna positive types like me. Like, I'm happy to have this. I think this is a great benefit. And I think $120 a year is viable. But you don't have to pay, Joe. You sure about that? Tell you certainly for the first several years I paid. First years when I was working part-time doing 8 races, I paid. I paid a whole bunch. Number one. And my dad pays. We pay. Why? We want to keep this thing going, man. That's another one. Everything should be free. Everything should be free except what I'm selling. And my work. I need to be paid for my work, and what I'm selling is very expensive. I want to get the max out of you, but everything that you're selling me should be free. Right. These are just some of the posts that I saw. What I'm doing right now is I'm venting to you guys in the hopes that we can get to a new place. That we can get to a new place and that you will fight against the negative people. You'll fight against them. You'll put out your claws and you will fight against that kind of ridiculous negativity. Hey, we've come up with something great. It works 85% of the time. 3 days. And by the way, it's going to be much better than that. Sony is involved. Cloud service. There's going to be an Apple app. There's going to be an Android app. I'm hoping it's available on Apple TV, although I have Roku now. To me, this is the future. This is the future. Everybody is creating their own streaming. The idea that NHRA has invested in this. It's a short-sighted view to bag on it. That's why it's the ultimate Rorschach test. What do you think of NHRA All Access? What do you think of this? Oh, I can't believe I watched the bracket race for free one time, and it should all be free. Everything should be free, and it doesn't ever work. Got you. Hold on. Gotcha. Thank you. I wish you well in life. But I'm sad. That is a glass half empty ton per person. Oh, man. You don't need to go very far for that. What do you think of that, NHRA? Man, I'm excited that they're hopefully going to make it even better, and it has been great to watch. And I've been able to follow David Rampy over the course of his season and see him win 100 events and all that cool stuff. And that Costello is amazing with the Parade of Champions. This is tremendous. That is a maybe over-the-top, glass is half full kind of person. And yeah, then there's the engineer in the crew that says the glass is half full of water and half full of air. And we give that guy like a punch in the stomach just for being difficult. I want to remind everybody, patreon.com, where you can really support the show directly and get special content. We're doing special shows and additional stuff, and I talk a little bit about my own racing on there, and we got Carlos Hawkins stuff, just coming up with different stuff, and we're evolving, speaking of creating our own networks like this one, WFO. Hey, big thanks to all of our sponsors like Rodax, CoffeeandGrills.com, Samtech.edu, Frank Hawley's Drag Racing School, Cat Spot Litter, and Magic Dry, Motorsports Guys, Hank Steffer's Metalworking Lubricants, Audible.com, all stepping up on board, supporting this show. We're always reaching out, looking for new marketing partners to be involved with WFO as the course of the season rolls on. This is the beginning. There is a journey that lies ahead. At the end of the season, we will interview champions. They will have their lives changed because they will have achieved something by going on. And it all begins this weekend. If you're going out to the track, stop by, say hi, pull me over, come on one of the Mellow Yellow tours. If you are not going to the track this weekend, hopefully you'll be watching on NHRA.tv. For you people who are interested in NASCAR, listen to the NASCAR Ignition Show, which is really just the Ignition Show. Maybe you want to get in our fantasy league. We do a fantasy league prior to the Daytona 500 and throughout the season. It's going to be great. Check it out. Thanks to Reinhardt. Thanks to everyone, Caps, Tony Schumacher, for making it happen. We'll see you at Auto Club Raceway for the Lucas Oil Winter Nationals, the 59th edition. WFO, everybody.
WFO! The views and opinions of the hosts, guests, or callers do not necessarily reflect that of the station ownership, advertisers, or agencies.
I love WFO radio. Oh, yeah.